badge here?
Always.
Oh.
Whoever sits just here.
People are avoiding outside go southbound. It just may need to be filled for the time being and then paved later on, just so people don't swerve lane.
Microphone, you got time?
1:30.
Oh, microphone's on?
Yep, it is. Time.
You got it on? It's 9:30. I hereby call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Our first presentation this morning, the 2026 intern video presentation, Dr. Tab.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Human Resources is extremely proud this morning to present our third cohort of our summer internship program. The PTC Connectors have spent the last 10 weeks learning municipal government operations, gaining career skills, discovering areas of the city that they've never even seen before here in Peachtree City. And they've made lasting connections that will carry these young professionals forward. We are so thankful for this program, Mayor and Council. And right now, I would like to bring our library services intern to the podium to address the council.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. My name is Caden Moore, and as cohort president of the 2026 Peachtree City Connectors, I have the privilege to introduce our intern summer project video to you today. But before we watch it, we would like to thank you for the opportunity that you've given us this summer through the internship program to experience city government firsthand, and for the connections we made through this internship that will continue to help us grow in the future. We'd also like to give a big thank you to Dr. Tab and the entire HR team, Kiara, Dia, Nicole, and Jamel, for guiding us this summer, and without whose support, we would not be nearly as successful as we were. Thank you, Council, for investing in us this summer, and we hope you enjoy our presentation as much as we did in making it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Looking forward to this.
Hello, and welcome to this year's installment of the City of Peachtree City's internship program. My name is Caden Moore, cohort president of your 2026 Peachtree City Connectors. This year's group decided that our theme would be to build connections and strengthen the community. As you will see, while the work we did individually as interns differed among our 6 departments, we all worked towards our shared goal in separate ways. Next, you'll hear from each intern on the projects they worked on and the impact they made this summer.
My name is Amanda Gonzalez, and I was the Visit Peachtree City intern. One project I worked on was helping with Peachtree City's application to become a bird city. The designation would highlight birding as a major attraction here, which could increase tourism. I worked closely with local bird and conservation experts as we gathered information for the application. I also created Instagram posts and reels highlighting sports and local businesses, and updated the Visit Peachtree City blog by connecting with local writers so we could share authentic stories from the community. Another project I really enjoyed was redesigning a brochure promoting Air Base Georgia. So I was able to tour the air base, meet some of the volunteers there, and see firsthand what visuals and information should be on the brochure, all of which made the design process feel a lot more meaningful.
Hi, I'm Addison Juggins. I am the Planning and Development intern. One way I created connections with the community was through informational brochures on understanding zoning and permitting. Along with that, I created flowcharts. They're easy to follow, whether you're a contractor or a resident. Another way that I connected with the community was through data. By turning data into clear visual information, employees can quickly identify trends, make informed decisions, and continue improving the permitting process for our residents and contractors. These dashboards show which department review permits, how many applications each department processes, and the most common permit types, and more. I also developed standard operating procedures, SOPs, to document departmental process and create consistency. These guides help preserve knowledge, support employee training, and make daily operations more efficient, strengthening the department for both current and future staff. Every experience strengthened a different connection. Whether I was observing code enforcement in the field, reviewing plats and development plans, or collaborating with staff in meetings, I saw how every role contributes to the same goal, working together to build stronger connections and serve the Peachtree City community.
Hi, my name is Sai Suram and I am fire and rescue intern here. My main project was building a community risk assessment. In simple terms, I have analyzed 3 to 4 years of the raw data, like 17,000 real 911 incidents, and where I converted them into a clear visualization insight so that the department can understand and make decisions by using it. And I worked on multiple data sets like emergency records, inspection records, and demographic information and GIS mapping. And by analyzing all the data, I found the patterns in emergency responses and what the city needs. Yes, I used ArcGIS Pro platform to create hotspot maps, false alarm maps, and station coverage maps so that these visualizations help the department to know the community needs. And final output of my internship is a report and an interactive web-based dashboard, and where the department can analyze the data and see and monitor the trends. And what I am proud of this internship is this is not just a project or report. It is a tool that the department can use in the future even after my internship. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rory Boyles, and I'm a Recreation and Special Events intern.
Hi, I'm Abby Brown, and I'm a Recreation and Special Events intern.
Our first connection is the preparation, planning, and execution of the 4th of July. With 40,000 people in Peachtree City, plus the amount of people that come in from out of town, the day of can be quite hectic.
And we jumped in when we started our internship to what had been months on months of planning, and getting to see all the different city departments come together to make the event possible for the community was really a sight to see. And being able to be a part of that, we are really appreciative, and that was definitely one of the highlights of our internship.
My connection was the Serve and Smash pickleball tournament. As a team, we discussed that teens of Peachtree City did not have many events that catered towards them. So working with Alec Gerald, the athletics coordinator, we created a tournament that teens could appreciate. Working with Alec, we created registration on Civic Rec where teens could go in and sign up. We ordered prizes, we designated areas at Jimmy Mead Pickleball Court in order to create an area for them to play at. And the day of, we all went over there and we created a bracket in order for them to know who they're going to play, and things played out really well. The teens loved it, and it was a lot of positive representation for the teens of Peachtree City.
And for my connection, I was able to get the opportunity to take the lead on celebrating National Parks and Recreation Month. We were able to put together 3 events in the month of July, one of them being an open gym at Kedron, the other one being Popsicles in the Park, and the last one being Movie in the Park. This really showed me how to plan an event from start and see the outcome of it, and we really enjoyed it. Our final connection is the soccer watch parties that we hosted here at Drake Field.
Drake Field sort of became a home away from home for us. We spent a lot of time here doing events, including the watch parties. We hosted several of them here. My work with the watch parties mostly focused on designing the way that they looked. I worked with Chris from Facilities Maintenance and created site maps for each event, as well as the day of, I was out here helping to set up and make sure everything looked right.
I played the part of making sure the vendors were booked and knew what they needed to know to be able to come down here and serve their food. And also, I created a lot of the marketing graphics and videos that we put out.
Hi, I'm Victor Montoya, the Human Resources Intern. Oh hey, so every successful organization depends on people working behind the scenes. At the City of Peachtree City, the Human Resources Department plays a vital role in supporting employees and keeping operations running efficiently. I also participated in research on the growing impact of artificial intelligence in the workplace. I connected with neighboring cities to learn how they are implementing AI policies, which gave me insight into how HR prepares organizations for emerging new technologies.
A few moments later.
One of my primary responsibilities was scanning and organizing employee records into Laserfish, the city's document management system. This required strong attention to detail and confidentiality while ensuring important information is secure and easily accessible.
Hi, I'm Caden Moore, and I'm the Library Service Intern. Welcome to the Peachtree City Library! Here at the library this summer, we hosted 104 events for patrons of all ages throughout June and July. From promoting pre-K literacy to crafting, the children's department was always busy during summer reading. And with 600 to 800 patrons every day, my regular duties included shelving, check-ins, checkouts, handling patron questions, and promoting our various events and reading programs. A lot of work happened behind the scenes as well. I removed our outdated material, replaced signage that hadn't been updated in over a decade, and reorganized crowded storage areas so both staff and patrons could navigate the library more efficiently. The largest project I worked on this summer was launching a community-driven library of things. If you're unfamiliar, it essentially allows patrons to check out items like karaoke machines, computer accessories, and DVD and CD burners, just like books. To build community ownership, we encouraged residents of Peachtree City to donate items themselves, and it was a great way to involve the community in what we're developing here at the library. Whether through helping patrons, behind-the-scenes improvements, or launching new initiatives, every day provided an opportunity to contribute to making the library a shared space that brings our community together. From fire, recreation, HR, planning and development, tourism, and the library, we connectors hope that our lasting impact exemplifies uncompromised excellence through building connections and strengthening the community.
Wait, there's more.
All right, we're rolling.
So
Tell me your name, birthday, zodiac sign, favorite food, and who your parents are.
Oh, is this a part of the internship? Okay, so I'm not, because I completely forgot what I was talking. One way I created. Does it look like I'm staring at the iPad, or are you?
Neither.
Okay. I know I don't see no rain, bruh. Okay. I also developed standard operating procedures, SOPs, to document. Wait, was that good or no?
Sorry, I'm struggling a little bit.
Victor, you just clip it.
So
Like the top, yeah.
is that right?
In the background.
Sure. Or here, put it between. You can't clip it. You know, flip it. You got it. Yeah, it was that. Yeah.
Oh, good? Okay. Events for patrons of all ages throughout June and July. And with 600 to 800 patrons every day, my...
I didn't like that at all. Let me just.
Oh, I thought mine was good. With 40,000 people, plus the amount of people that come in from out of town, the 4th of July gets to be hectic.
Oh.
With 40,000 people in Peachtree City, oh, dang it. My bad, I messed up. Working with Alec, we created a registration on Civic Rec where the teens could go in and they would sign up their teams.
Oh, brother.
You didn't
know what she was in the park where we gave kids popsicles who were playing outside. And then, actually, I don't like that. Wait. Yeah? Oh. Sorry, it was.
You were supposed to have 3.
Oh, it's a. Okay, don't say that. I will say.
Don't.
My main project was to build a community risk assessment. Right. Yeah. Can you start?
Is this closer or is this? Hello, and welcome to this year's installment of the Okay. Wait, no, sorry.
So as you see, Mayor and Council, they had so much fun with this presentation. We did not have a communications intern this year. It was so sad, but we did our amateur best, and thanks to Vivian for helping us to review it and get it to you all. And I also want to thank all of the directors here and the supervisors who were assigned to these interns to pour into these young professionals. We really appreciate it so much. Thank you to HR, and thank you to our interns for choosing Peachtree City. And we are so glad that we will leave a mark on your career journey as you have left on the city of Peachtree City. Again, Mayor and Council, thank you for this program. One last mention, I have to plug this. Other neighboring counties have stolen our program as well and reached out to HR to help them get their summer internship program going. So we like to say we're the pilot for this amazing program, so we're happy to say that. Thank you all for the flowers. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for support of this program. Thank you, City Manager, as well.
Thank you, Dr. Tab. All right, our next presentation is Wall of Fame at Kedron. Harold Layton and Rory Boyles.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Council. So this morning, we will be introducing a class of athletes from Peachtree City. And this has been a project that has been awesome to witness come to fruition for us. Rory has done an extremely wonderful job with this. Abby has helped along the way as well to help put this together. So without further ado, Rory Boyles.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. I have come to know many of you already, but just so those who may not know me as well, my name is Rory Boyles. I was one of the Recreation and Special Events interns this year. And one of the projects, which I actually did not talk about in the video, is this Kedron Fieldhouse Wall of Fame. Is there something? Oh, wait. Okay. Just a brief introduction of what we did here. We didn't have anything like this before, and we have a pretty rich history of athletics in Peachtree City. We have a lot of athletes that have came out of here and have done great things. People have came in and really put their hands in, and just a lot of people who deserve to be honored for what they've done and things like that are in Peachtree City, and we needed something like that to honor them. We needed to establish a criteria to so that we can do this beyond my internship, because this is supposed to be something that'll continue with the next intern and beyond that as well. So we defined a clear criteria for who could be a part of this and who cannot. The first criteria being a community connection. They must have lived in, attended school in, or maintained a significant long-term connection to Peachtree City. Second, athletic achievement. They must have demonstrated excellence at the collegiate, professional, national, or international level in their sport. And then positive representation. The athlete's accomplishments should positively reflect on the community and should serve as an inspiration for current and future generations alike. Like I said, we are planning on doing this beyond my internship. We have a process that is now in place for people to nominate athletes as well. There will be a place on the Kedron Fieldhouse part of the recreation website where they can go in and they can put the name into the hat, basically. And we'll collect those names over the year. And the next intern, if there is anybody that would be in the process of nomination, will take that. They will do research on them, and they will first present it to the Recreation Advisor group. And once they've done that, they will come before you guys, and for a final approval, we'll nominate them. For this project, we interviewed each of the athletes. I sat down with them on the phone, or I sat down with them on an email, and I asked them a few questions about their career, what they'd like to say to the people of Peachtree City, how they see the city as, like how they see our rec programs, how things are, like how good they are, et cetera, et cetera. They just to like give the personal experience and a personal perspective that they have on the city and how great we have it around here. To introduce our first inductee, it's Lily Backus. She graduated from Stars Mill a few years ago. She was a softball player. She was a state champion, a 3-time first-team All-State. She had 912 career strikeouts as a pitcher, and she was a 3-time Region 5A Pitcher of the Year. She went on to start her college career at the University of North Carolina, where she was a 2-time All-ACC academic team, All-ACC second team, and All-ACC tournament team member. She would then transfer to the University of Georgia, where she'd go on to be a 2-time CSC Academic All-District, 2023 to 2024 SEC First-Year Academic Honor Roll, and a USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year Top 53 Watch List member. The second member is Cole Bishop. Cole was a first-team All-State, All-County, and All-Region selection at Stars Mill. He recently graduated, and then he went on to play his college football days at the University of Utah, where he was a 2-time All-Pac-12 honorable mention, an All-Pac-12 second team, as well as a Jim Thorpe Award semifinalist and a College Football Network's second-team All-American. He would go on to be selected in the second round, 60th overall by the Buffalo Bills in the NFL Draft in 2024, where he's still currently playing. Next is Mary Plant. Mary is an extremely qualified swimmer. She set her first world record at the 200-meter butterfly at the 1979 Pan American Games. She would go on to break that record, as well as set another one in the 100-meter butterfly at the 1981 USA Swimming Long Course National Championships. Both of those records would go on to stand for over 2 decades. She was a 3-time gold medalist at the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, and she's been inducted into the International Swimming Hall of Fame. That is just a brief list of the things she's done. Her full list of accolades is much longer than that. And then joining us today is Dave Pina. He spent more than 25 years coaching Peachtree City's youth. He was a former college basketball player at Babson College in Boston, Massachusetts. He's been a coach at at Whitewater and McIntosh High School, and he won a region championship at McIntosh. And he's been a personal coach. He has coached camps for us, and like I said, he's been a high school coach, and he's been doing things in Peachtree City for longer than I've been alive, and he's coached. So he has coached generations of athletes that have came through this town. Sorry.
And Madam Mayor, these images that you're seeing, these portraits, will be on display at Kedron Fieldhouse on one of our walls leading up to the gym. And these are also interactive photos. They have a QR code on them that people will be able to walk by with their cell phones, and they'll be able to open up the interview that we did with them as well. So they will always be on our city website for future to come.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Well done. Yeah. Can we get a picture with the photos and your team?
Yes, ma'am.
And our team? And our team. Lots going on in Peachtree City. Our next presentation is the Unified Development Ordinance Project Introduction to City Council. Shayla Reed.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Thank you for this opportunity. We are elated to have this moment. We have our Unified Development Ordinance underway, and a few months back we've contracted with United, a company that will be drafting our ordinance for us, and today we have Sarah Sinatra who will give that introduction to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Sarah Sinatra. I'm Vice President of Inspire Placemaking Collective. We have been working with your staff on this really exciting project. And I'm just going to give you kind of an overview of what we're planning to be doing in the next few months. So just the agenda. Just to give you a really brief introduction about who we are, I have been a practicing planner for roughly 23 years throughout the Southeast. My focus has been on code writing, so I was really excited when your project was put out to bid and we were selected and awarded the contract. Our company has focused on public sector planning really throughout the Southeast since its inception, and that's really what our focus is. We've worked on over 70 code projects and comprehensive plans as well. What I wanted to just point out is the development review also. That means that we've done like an extension of staff where we actually review development applications. What's important for that is we understand the challenges that are often written into development ordinances. So we see where there's conflicts in codes and all of that difficult language that the public has a hard time interpreting, staff has a hard time interpreting, and developers feel that there's some gray area, so then question and go through variances. So our goal is to understand what's in the code and be able to clean that up. So why update the code? You're a built environment, right? You're a developed community and you're a beautiful community. You're also a planned community. So we're not looking to go ahead and throw out ordinances. We're doing a full evaluation of your ordinances to say, are there conflicts? Are there challenges? Are there things that we should actually revise so it strengthens the position of the community to continue? I personally worked for City of Weston down in Florida, which is also a planned community for 12 years, and I was for 8 years their development director. So understand that, the planned community environment and updating your ordinances. So the last time you've done that review is 38 years. That's not unusual. It's a big undertaking. There's a requirement by the state to update your comprehensive plan, but there's not that same requirement on your ordinances. So it's just making sure internally that you've provided that consistency. So that's what we're going to do. We're also going to look at uses. Are there uses that we should amend, definition-wise? Are there uses we should think about expanding as trends change? And then we look at legal requirements. We want to make sure there are that you have consistency with federal requirements and state requirements. So part of the things we're going to be doing is consolidating all the different ordinances. You have all these different ordinances in different sections and putting them into a unified development ordinance. Why that's important is what we've already done is we've done this evaluation of the code and seen that there are definitions embedded in different chapters that conflict with each other. That opens you up to some challenges. We want to make sure that you're fully in line with state law. And we're also proposing community-wide meetings. And so we'll talk about that in a minute with the schedule, but that's really important. We like to make those kind of engaging. We're looking right now at doing something in September and talking to your staff about what that looks like and where that should be. Just to give you a brief example of some of the things we do that our team has put together, we have our firm is made up of planners, landscape architects, urban designers, and graphic artists. So we work together as a team to understand when we're looking at what's written in the code, how do we translate that? How does the public and your staff interpret that? Simple things like we write in a code, you have to have a landscape, a tree, and it has to have what's called something like a critical root zone. We could write that, And a lot of people, if you're not a landscape architect, typically don't know what that means. But when we put up a picture and we say, this is what it means, and this is the dimension, it makes it clearer and easier to understand. So a lot of this process is not to reinvent things, it's to really provide that clear clarity. The project kicked off in June. We're here in front of you today. We're meeting with the UDO committee in August, and then going through an open house for the public in September. And again, we're refining what that looks like. The scope of the project is to assess all of your current ordinances, and then to streamline this and put this into one ordinance with an updated zoning map. We also do what's called project testing. So what we do is if we are making any modifications to the ordinance, we take a look at your applications that have come through. We ask your staff to provide us with something you really liked and that was well received, a development application, and then we ask for an application that you didn't like, but met the code requirements. So it gives us an opportunity to say, what can we change so that it is something that's more in line with Peachtree City. It's something more in line with the community wants to see. And that gives us an opportunity to actually make those changes. And then we do a digital formatting of the process. This is a reorganization, and this is what we do. We go through, on the left it would be like your current ordinances, the right would be how we've reorganized. And we work with your staff behind the scenes to make sure that when it goes forward facing to the public, it becomes really useful. We actually go through the comprehensive plan. We know that you're going to be updating your plan coming up, but it's really important for us to understand some of the requirements that are currently in there, and then we go forward. We create tables and dimensions into more useful, readable documents. So right now we take all of your uses and then we put them into a table so that the public, the staff, anyone can easily understand what's in a zoning district, what's permitted, what are the requirements from a dimensions standpoint. And then when we produce a final deliverable, we like to make sure that it is readable, usable, has graphics, has tables, and is very web-enabled. So when we originally gave you your package, you're going to see that what we provided to you in the presentation, the only difference was that we had started to work with staff to refine what could be a logo for the project. We like to brand a project. We like to, when we do the public engagement, when we do the website, when we ask for public input, we like to really brand that, but use something as an offshoot of your brand. So we decided that that really should be placed with the council to look at. What do you like? We've worked with our graphic artists, we work with your team to come up with a logo. So we put two in front. I'm sorry, you can, and we would love to hear, at the end or when you can let staff know if there's a logo that you would like to see as part of this project.
Can I take a minute?
Yes.
So we have two choices. I'm going to call them the left and the right. Take a look. Get ready. Raise your hand if you prefer the left, rooted in community, a unified vision for Peachtree City. It has the tree and the buildings. Raise your hand.
And the golf cart. It's really small.
And the.
You can't see.
I missed that. A little tiny. Okay, thank you. And raise your hand if you prefer the right, rooted in community. It's got the tree.
Okay.
Okay. Deal?
Thank you. So it sounds like it's rooted in the one on the
on the right.
On the right. Okay.
Just the tree.
Just the tree. We and so this is again just for this project.
Did I surprise you? Do you need to do it again? Yeah. You need to do it again. All right, we're going to do it again.
They didn't know they were voting.
I know.
I didn't know we were voting.
And I didn't see the golf cart.
I should have had the little voting,
No, we don't need it. Peachtree City, show of hands. Do you prefer the left or the right? First, the left, rooted in community. It's got the buildings.
Left.
Okay. Thank you. Now the right, rooted in community, just the tree. I think we've got the one on the right.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we got the one on the right. Okay, with the golf cart.
No.
No, the other one. Okay. My right. I didn't know what it said. Okay. Without the golf cart. Okay, so if we could get to, I just wanted to show you, and we'll revise this. We started to put together a draft website that we want to push out to the public to start getting input. And we'll be able to really kick this off next month when we do a public engagement event and we hear from the public. We're proposing to have some activities. Again, when we're writing a unified development ordinance in a built community, we are looking to make some changes that really preserve what you have, enhance what you have, make sure that when you get a development application, you're not getting a ton of variances. You're getting something that is speaking to what the community is looking for. So we're going to be asking some questions of the public, but really on a visual standpoint. Do you like this? Do you like this? This is what in the current ordinance. How can we enhance that? Maybe it's additional landscaping. Maybe it's additional buffer requirements. Maybe there's some other things that we should be talking about. So we're going to be having that from a standpoint of a visual standpoint. And so if are we able to. The website's not live yet because I wanted to make sure we showed it to you first, and then we'll update the logo and so forth. But we'll be having a website that'll have a timeline, and we're going to try to make that more of like a calendar where people can see what are the events we're looking at, where can they give us input. There'll be a survey and there's also going to be an interactive map. So there'll be a survey that they can click on, provide information. We have this interactive map where you can be able to just click and drag, and all of this will have links that you'll be able to, if you need a tutorial on how to do that, it'll be embedded in there. You can click and drag and tell us things that we should know about the community that are really important, and that'll be on there. On the other side, on the right side, it'll have the information. What is a UDO? Why are we doing this? What's the information? And then it'll have links to the existing documents that are important, and then contact information. So once we get some, we'll refine this a little further. We'll be getting that out to the public, making sure that's posted on all of your social media and your websites, so that we make sure that the public's engaged in the process, and we're providing a document that is up to your standards and something that will be helpful for the community. And get to the next slide. Next steps is we'll be meeting with your Unified Development Ordinance Committee at the end of the month, and then we'll be excited to be working with your staff on doing a public open house. Thank you.
Council, any questions? I just can't thank you enough. I'm excited about this project. For some reason, I don't know why, so many cities are doing UDOs right now. Is it a trend? And I mean, some cities are 100 years old, and some cities like ours are 66 years old. What's going on that this is all coming to a head right now?
Growth.
Oh.
Growth.
Yeah.
Truthfully, in this region, it is because of, people are facing growth, and they've had ordinances that are on the books. There's also so many new technologies and trends. We're dealing with things that we didn't know about before, and ordinances are written a long time ago. And people can need that better direction of making sure that any kind of use you have is clearly defined. We get into challenges where, there's a lot of gray area. We like to make sure that the ordinance is predictable, and so that you as the board can be looking at something and say, I expect that if it's zoned something, I know it's going to be going in there. So we want to have that level of comfort.
Thank you. I just also want to say right now we're in interviews for all of our boards, commissions, authorities right now. It's a big deal. We've got seven boards, commissions, and authorities, and that's not including our UDO committee. And this is all Peachtree City's volunteers, really the backbone of all of these various efforts. And I especially appreciate the members of our planning commission. I see Kenneth Hamner here. And the other members of the Planning Commission have stepped up to be the UDO committee, and we need that, and they're really going to be actively engaged and making a positive difference. Council, any other comments? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
One comment.
One comment is, I want to thank the people who've stepped up, our city people who've stepped up to come excuse me, to come to be on one of our committees. As the mayor said, there's many committees that we have, and we're always looking for volunteers. I'll underline that, always looking for volunteers to step up and help your community. That's how I got involved in this city, and I encourage anyone who's listening to this or anyone here at this meeting, don't be afraid to step up and help your city.
So, thank you. Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much. Yeah. Public comment. Raise your hand if you have signed up for public comment this morning. Raise your hand if you signed up for public comment. Keep them up if you want to comment on the trash collection situation. I think that's what we're looking at this morning. We have a very responsible presentation by Amwaste on the trash collection this morning. So I'm moving public comment to the end of that presentation because we're going to hear background, data, new information, and programs. So I'm moving public comment to the end of our agenda. It might look like this is a really long agenda, but I don't think it's going to turn out that way. Some of it is consent.
Madam Mayor, there aren't some that need to leave early, just to make sure we're not missing out on anyone. No? I'm sorry?
Agenda changes. Council?
At 9:30 at the start.
No. Quarterly reports. I just want to emphasize.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I
sir.
did want to add, there was one person who signed up for naming of the library, not about,
One person has signed up for something that is not trash.
that's correct.
All right, I will take that public comment now then. Right now, for
That's,
the
Miss
naming of the library.
Ashley Aubrey Mitchell.
Anywhere you're comfortable. Okay.
Okay. I'm used to talking to like 500 children, but if I just picture you as children, just bear with me. My name is Ashley Aubrey Mitchell. I was born here, Peachtree City, 1967. My parents, Roy and Billy Aubrey. My dad is still here. But I am not here to talk about me or anything that I want named after my parents, because I want to talk about the library, and I hear that y'all are considering MT Allen. And as an educator here in Fayette County, I opened First Pres Preschool. I opened Peachtree City Elementary. I opened Booth, and I opened McIntosh, all with my friend Tamara, MT Allen's daughter. Been here, love here, never leaving here, taught here. And MT Allen helped me know that you need to learn to love to learn and learn to love to read. And that was way back when that wasn't said, that wasn't done. She loved the library. She started as a volunteer. She was there for 20, 30 years, I mean forever. Like, I don't know the library without MT Allen. And it went from several buildings, like lots of things did. And I just want to thank y'all for even the consideration. And that's all, not the trash.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Quarterly reports, council, any questions or comments? I just want to let everybody know that all of our departments contribute to updates in the form of a quarterly report, and it is wild. It's comprehensive. You can see some numbers that'll boggle the mind. 290 building permit reviews in one quarter. We have more than 35,000 e-newsletter subscribers. Peachtree City, it's a good look at all that is going on in the city. So you can see that on our website, and I hope you'll take a look. Council?
I have a
and-
comment.
Yeah.
Okay. First, I'd like to point out to everybody here, the entire quarterly report that we're talking about is actually in the agenda packet. And if you want to get a copy of it so that you can see it and review it, you can go to the agenda packet that's on our website and pull it up. And now for the staff. Okay, each quarter we've seen adjustments to the layout, font, print color, etc. I like this new version. It has a black and white photo as the background for each department page. The text boxes in this version are bold, have an easy to read font, and the photos on some pages humanize the report. So good job. And I would like to point out to our citizens that these are a great tool to see what we are doing during the prior quarter. For instance, the engineering department outlines the renovations and upgrades just done in City Hall. So if you want to know all of the things that we just did to this very building, you can go to the quarterly report, because we're wrapping up what we've done, and there's actually a list of all the things that were upgraded. So, and at the end of 2025, we did a yearly overview, which is also helpful. So just kudos to the staff, whoever worked on this. I like the format.
It's wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Any other comments, Council?
Yes, I have one comment, Madam Mayor. I apologize. I'm coming down, or have come down with a little bit of a cold, so I apologize. I just want to have a shout out to the police department. I see again, this happened last quarter and the quarter before. Again, we've had a reduction in Part 1 crimes. Those are the serious crimes. We had another a 10% decrease in the Part 1 crimes in our city. That shows to me anyways that the police department is doing their job, which they've always done along that way, but now we're actually putting it in metrics. We can actually see that they're doing the job, not just a, hey, good job, police department. Now we can actually see that they're going down each quarter in the Part 1 crimes. And I want to make sure that that's fully recognized by the city, simply because that's a large part of our budget that we'll be talking about in the next 2 months, is making sure that the police have plenty of resources to keep doing exactly what they're supposed to do, keep us safe in Peachtree City. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Minutes, A, July 9th, 2026, special called city council meeting minutes. B, July 9th, executive session minutes. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve both minutes from July 9th and July 9th special meeting and July 9th executive session minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consent items A through D. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the consent items as submitted.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And with that, we've accepted a $2,500 sponsorship for our Family Football Saturdays by Davis Chiropractic, and we are truly grateful. Those were wonderful events. New agenda item A, fiscal year 26 budget amendment 26 through 30 and library naming. Mr. Holland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let me get to that section here.
Page 92.
Yeah, it's at 92.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for the delay. I'm going to that section.
That's right.
I think I can talk extemporaneously without having that in front of me. By and large, we have gone, I've spoken about this previously, so by and large, we have, fortunately, the right person at the right time in our city. It seems like it always comes about that way. And at the time that the library was just getting started, we had a woman step up, M.T. Allen. She stepped up. She helped to build that library from literally a cupboard, just a cupboard of books, to what we have today as one of the best libraries in the state of Georgia, is right here in Peachtree City. And it gives me a great honor to be able to be the one to step forward and say, it's time that we name this library after essentially the founder, developer, and coordinator of what we have today as the best library, or one of the best libraries in the state of Georgia. So it's an honor for me to be able to start that process of saying, let's have a discussion to make sure that everything is in line, but let's also remember that we're honoring a citizen who stepped up, and I'll say that again, stepped up and said, hey, I want to help. That's what we need on all of our committees. We had that 40 or 50 years ago in the library, and today I would like to be able to make, can I make a motion on this, Madam Mayor, or do you want to have a discussion first?
The motion will be approve the renaming of the Peachtree City Library and approve the associated budget amendment to complete the library sign project.
I'll say That's exactly my motion.
Say so moved.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
That was
will be
quick.
the M.T. Allen, that's all we need, the M.T. Allen Memorial Library. Thank you.
Congratulations.
New agenda item B, property conveyance to Fayette County Development Authority, Ted Meeker.
Mayor, I thought that this one would be better if I handled down here. I don't know that there's been a certain area of the city that has caused me more consternation during my tenure as city attorney than this area. Just as a matter of history, back in 2003, 2004, 2005, when the possibility of a TDK extension was still being contemplated, certain rights of way were acquired both by Peachtree City and Fayette County. Obviously, council voted to abandon that project. That's been reaffirmed at least once. I know most recently, I think within the last 2 years. So as Lake McIntosh was filled, Fayette County wanted to build an access road in order to get back to the pavilion and the spillway. And when that occurred, they came to the city asking for a conveyance of certain parcels that the city owned along the roadbed. The city, of course, was a bit perplexed about the best way to do that, worrying about, of course, a road being built against the city's wishes. Mind you, the Georgia Constitution is pretty clear that a city can't build a road in an unincorporated area and a county can't build a road within the city. But nonetheless, we wanted to make sure that the city had an interest, and in exchange, the city acquired the area in yellow. That's along Line Creek, and you'll see how it kind of comes up in a U shape. Wound up in a lawsuit brought by the property owner because there was some confusion over who owns. Let me see if I can work a pointer. Oh, that did not do what I wanted to do. This area right here was under disputed ownership between Suburban Land Reserve and Fayette County.
Ted, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. That area was under disputed ownership between Fayette County and Suburban Land Reserve. The city, of course, owned this portion that was on that property, and therefore it was included in that lawsuit as a party. That case has since been dismissed, and there's now contemplated a transfer of property interests of both Fayette County and Suburban Land Reserve to the Fayette County Development Authority. The anticipation is that the Fayette County Development Authority is going to transfer that property to the Peachtree City Airport Authority for an airport use. Fayette County Development Authority, in order to close on that transaction, has asked the city to convey this portion. I'm going to show you a better image of it. Can we scroll that up? Go down. I'm sorry. This is the yellow portion that I just showed you on the last drawing in a current survey format. As it turns out, the strip is a little bit wider based on the legal description than 25 feet at various points. Go ahead and continue. I think this is an important distinction for council to understand. The area in green right here is what is being asked to be transferred, the city's interest in that area from the city to the Fayette County Development Authority, which will then be transferred to the Airport Authority. If you would scroll down a little bit and then over to my right. No, other way, other way. And now scroll back up just a little bit. Please note that the city is going to retain an interest in the pink area that extends over to that. That is not subject to this transfer. Of major importance to that, of course, is the fact that you will see that is the current termination point of where the TDK road ends. Another relevant factor is that when we did the transaction back in 2012, it was at that point a private access or a access road for Fayette County. A couple of years ago, Fayette County actually dedicated that roadbed to the city of Peachtree City. In other words, we now control that road in its entirety and also control any access to that road from either adjacent parcels or anywhere else. That is what's being contemplated in the deeds that are before you. There is going to be actually two additional conditions that we are going to add to the deeds. I'm waiting for those drafts to come to me. One is, well, they're both similar conditions to what Fayette County is putting on their conveyance of property to the Fayette County Development Authority as part of this transaction, which again, this area up here is the Fayette County property. They're putting two extra conditions on it. One is a restriction for any extension of TDK Boulevard, and the other is an airport use requirement. We're going to add those two conditions to the deeds that the city is contemplating and hopefully will be approved for signature today. The city is going to convey two things. One is by necessity and one is for good old real estate title standards. Number one, let me go back. Can you scroll down a little bit? The first deed that the city is going to sign, if approved, is for this light green piece. The second, when real estate lawyers go to close transactions, they want to make sure that anybody who may have an interest in anything signs the deed or just quit claims any of their interests. The city on the second deed is going to say, hey, to the extent that we own anything in these two parcels, not down here, these two parcels, based on the survey that was prepared, we're relinquishing any interest we have in that area. But again, that legal description and that survey does not include anything past this point. So everything that's in pink on the drawing in the agenda package is the city's and is going to remain the city's. One last footnote I might add, I will tell you that based on all my knowledge and talking to staff and other people, this area over here is all wetlands. So developing or doing anything in that area obviously would be a very complicated thing to undertake. Of the property that's being conveyed ultimately to the airport authority, I think that there's about a usable portion of about 14 to 15 acres. And that, of course, is all back in this area. I've said a lot. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Council questions?
Yes, Madam Mayor. With all the consternation that's been going on with that particular area on the past that have been in Facebook and in talks before us here at council, all of what we're doing all remains in Fayette County. There's nothing to do with Coweta County on this transfer of property. Is that, did I understand that correctly, Ted?
100% correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was on the record, that this is all to do with Fayette County. Thank you.
It also doesn't contemplate any road building.
Good.
This is solely for an expansion of an existing use that's already at the airport.
Thank you.
Council, any questions?
Yeah, I'll clarify one other thing though too. And you hinted at it, Ted. The airport has very little property, and all of their property that they do control is right up against Line Creek, as is this particular property. But by doing what we're doing here, we're involved in a lawsuit. The lawsuit's now able to be settled out, and this particular piece of property will now become actually a usable piece of property. And whereas in the past, the airport couldn't use it, nobody could use it because it was involved in a very lengthy lawsuit, so.
That's correct.
Did I miss anything in there?
No, that was
Okay.
all correct.
So, and our airport needs, obviously, some expansion of, I do believe, a flight school.
Any other questions or comments? Ted, in our packet on page 97, there is a motion, but do we need to make that motion subject to the two conditions?
Yes, you
And
do.
would you like to make that motion for us?
Could you pull that?
Here you go.
Sorry, didn't mean to surprise you.
The motion will be to approve the conveyance of the city's interest in the property shown in green on the survey attached as Exhibit B and any other deeds to effectuate that transfer, with further conditions that restrictions be placed on any TDK Boulevard extension that the property be restricted to an airport use.
So moved.
Thank you. I have a
Second.
motion. And I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. New agenda item C, RFP for bridge connecting McIntosh and Booth. This is so exciting. Jonathan Miller.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. This item is so city staff sent out a request for proposal for design services to kind of kick off the start of the bridge that we had planned in SPLOST. It'll be a new shared path bridge over Highway 54 near Booth and McIntosh. We actually received 4 proposals back from design firms, and we had staff evaluated it on a weighted criteria and went through all of those. And from those, we determined that Moffitt and Nickel received the highest overall weighted score based on the evaluations, and that is our recommendation is to award that to Moffitt and Nickel. A couple of things I want to note: this is just design right now, so that's what we're trying to start. Part of that is the ARC has already granted phase 1. We got phase 1 funding to start acquiring right away. So until we put a design firm in place, we can't utilize those funds. And then as we go through the process, we'll bring actual visual updates for y'all to see, from concept to 30%, 70%, and so on. So we're just ready for y'all to approve and kick this project off.
Council, any questions?
Jonathan, the only question I have is, are we going to stipulate with the design that it be in as much conformance with the other bridges that we already have, or are we going to go in a slightly different direction, or? Is that?
The mayor had a question with me yesterday about the same thing of what type of bridge do we want.
Yeah.
So that'll be, when we get into the conceptual phase with them, we'll make sure that you all have a say in that, and that we don't move forward with any type of really
cheap
in-depth design. Well, just we don't get too far in design until council signs off and says, yes, this is what we want the bridge to look like.
Okay. Bringing every step will give y'all the opportunities to have those inputs.
But I would assume you would want it to match the aesthetic of the city.
You know, on a personal level, yeah, I'd like it to match at least the general theme of what the bridges look like. And if we're going to put a sign on it, I'd like something that illuminates better than the one on the west side of 54. Yeah. So, you know, it is going to be fairly close, not on the border, the eastern border of the city.
Right.
But I mean, it is really, once you hit that particular location, you know you're in Peachtree City. But it should be something that is, you know, impressive and really does say you're in Peachtree City now. So, you know, that's maybe the decoration that goes on the side of the bridge, but I'd really like it to be something that
you all will make
screams
that decision.
Peachtree City.
Yes, you'll make that decision.
All right.
Okay.
Another point of clarification, there is a diagram in the packet that shows the approaches on both sides. That's still up for design considerations. That's nothing set in stone.
Correct. That was just provided to them to kind of give them an idea of the project we're looking at. Until we get into the right-of-way acquisition, we don't know what those approaches will look like and start that process.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. First of all, let's talk about the money. This is all grant-related money. Is it all or most?
No, we have grant and SPLOST.
And SPLOST.
This was a SPLOST project.
Okay, so there's nothing out of the Peachtree City taxpayers funding this. This is from the overall county SPLOST and a grant from the federal government. Did I have that right?
So we've only been awarded one phase, but I believe Justin has spoken with them, and typically with grants, they're not gonna just, you know, as you progress, you.
If they
you
award
should-
you phase one, they never, you know, I've talked with them in the county, cause we put this application in through the county, and they've said, you know, if you were awarded phase one, they've never seen you not be awarded phase two, which is construction, which is the bigger portion. We do have this under a SPOS project as well, SPOS 2023, that the citizens did vote on. That's the sales tax. So it is paid for with tax, with sales tax, and then
A county sales
yeah,
tax.
federal tax money.
Mhm.
But if you're referencing property taxes, then you would be
Mhm.
correct that there are no property taxes
That,
associated.
that's the point I wanted to make, that it is not on the backs of Peachtree City people. This is on the county and on the feds. And quite frankly, even though it's on their backs, this is really to protect the children that are gonna be going between Booth Middle School and over to McIntosh. And also for all of us, when we wanna go across 54, which can be pretty treacherous going across at grade, you'll now have a place to be able to go across from one side to the other safely. And as far as, that's on the first part. The second question I have is on the landing. I'm glad you clarified that we'll be looking at different landings on both sides, and that will come out of the design engineers, so I'm like that. And the last is, can you, or maybe if not for you, Jonathan, maybe Justin can answer this. What's the timeline? How long have we been working on this? If you can go back and grab that old information, how long have we been working on this project? Because it does take, as we all know, a long time when you got the state involved and the Fed involved and all of that. So give the citizens a chance to understand how long it takes to get something like this done.
So are you asking from now?
Well, the project was formulated in 2022 with the SPOS Volunteer Citizen Group.
Okay.
When we were putting the SPOS list together, we had a couple of bridge or tunnel projects to look at, and the one that they really wanted to go for was, since there was a new booth opening at that time, that was like the first, maybe booth, I don't think booth had even opened yet. They wanted to connect, they wanted a connection because the closest legal way to go between the two schools is to go through the McDonald's tunnel, which is like a 20-minute drive between the two schools. So this was what they prioritized. We put it on the ballot, citizens approved the SPOS. So since then we've, you know, part of it is you have to let money accrue in your SPOS balance. The other part is you have 40 other projects you're working on, so you're prioritizing projects. We knew that this one would be one of the last ones that is completed because of the difficulty of it with dealing with GDOT. You're going over a GDOT highway, and we also knew that we wanted to apply for a grant as well, and so we applied for the grant. We applied for one grant 2 years ago. We did not get it, SS4 grant. We applied for the ARC grant this year, and so part of it is waiting on grant money as well. So then you get the grant money, then we actually officially get into design. So as far as the actual project itself, we really haven't even started the meat of it yet, but we've been planning for 4 years.
Right.
And so, you know, this will take another couple of years. Like, it's not, you know, we're not going to design it and build it next year. It'll still be, you know, still take a few years to actually do the entire project.
Thank you, Justin. That's just what I wanted to have on the record, is that it takes time to do these big projects. You can't just turn and burn on these things. We've got to make sure they're planned right. We've got to get the money in place, and it takes a while. I'm going to guess that it's going to be 5 to 7 years from the time we first talked about it until the time you get a bridge that goes across that highway. And that was really the purpose of my questioning.
All right, anything
Thanks,
else?
guys.
All right. Any other comments? Yeah, Michael? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm just glad to see when we first saw this design, the crossing. I'm sure everything with my concern is less with the bridge and more of the crossing that will then be installing over Robinson. Before that was more north on Robinson, which raised some safety concerns for me. I'm glad it's been moved more south, but I will just say that will still probably be my biggest
And that's still
concern.
just a concept.
I know, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I'm still just a little wary of that.
Point well taken. Yeah. Laura, you're not coming in on the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can y'all hear me?
Just to briefly repeat.
Can you turn the volume of all the mics up a little bit?
It's okay.
Okay, so
It
to
wasn't
repeat, with the first time that we saw this design, there's the bridge that goes over 54 and it comes down and it crosses there would be a path that crosses Robinson that used to be more north on Robinson, closer to the 54 Robinson intersection, which is a pretty major intersection. And so with that crossing, I'm concerned with an increased traffic going from a middle school to a high school, that would be so close to a busy intersection. It's been moved further south, which I think is a move in a good direction, but that's just where I think, it's an important thing to look at.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Polachek?
And just to add, for residents who may have not seen the conceptual design here, part of the plan is to provide golf cart access further up Robinson along 54 towards Publix as well, so in front of the cemetery, which as someone, my mom lives off McIntosh Trail, so she's going to be very excited to take her golf cart all the way to Publix, but not just if you're coming across the bridge, also for folks coming up Robinson to access that commercial development over there, which I'm excited about.
I was actually going to mention that, if y'all, because the path going from Robinson to Publix was actually a 2017 SPOS project, so we also have some 2017 SPOS money for that. Since we did the bridge project 2023, we looked at it and said these two projects really should just be combined at this point, since they're right there together. So that's what we've done.
All right. Anything else? Council, there is a recommendation that could be a motion. It's in our packet on page 106. Can I get a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve agenda item 080603, RFP for bridge connecting McIntosh and Booth. Approve the award for the professional design services contract for the shared use path bridge over the Highway 54, Walt Banks Road and Carriage Lane intersection to Moffett and Nickel at the hourly rates provided with their proposal.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. I have work session discussion item A, discuss text amendment to the land development ordinance, specifically Article 11, vegetation protection and landscape requirements. Shayla Reed.
Thank you again, Mayor. So this item, you may recall, it was initiated by City Council. It was the native and invasive plant ordinance. We then took that recommendation or that initiation over to the Planning Commission. They've drafted their sample of the ordinance, and during that time that the recommendation was provided, staff did not have the UDO's consultants Inspire on staff at the time or under contract. And we shared the ordinance with them to allow for us to be able to bring back to you an ordinance that was ready for adoption. And so they've done what they call a peer review of the ordinance. And Sarah Sinatra from Inspire is present to share her findings or her company's findings. And so I'll defer over to her to give that presentation over.
Thank you again. So what we did was we just did an overall review of the text and made some suggestions. And I'll walk you through those. And what we're thinking would be probably a appropriate way to go is, if you want us to take a look at this and understanding that this is really important, and I know you want to advance this prior to the final UDO, which would probably be more like in March. And if we want to advance this, we're happy to take this piece out, craft it, refine it a little bit based on some recommendations, and then present it for you in in your package in September, we were thinking.
So we
the
can
second
pull this
meeting.
one ahead?
Right.
I think the birders are waiting for this too.
Yes.
The Bird City USA.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're happy to kind of, take that out of the overall and advance this one because it is a priority. When we reviewed it, we didn't have, lots and lots of changes. We just had some things we wanted to mention. When we look at this from a technical code standpoint, we see things like development and redevelopment. That's not defined in your code. So things like that we like to just strike out and, or further define. So we're just going to do some cleanups like that. If you want to go down a little bit further. There was, sorry, I can't read that. So when we're talking about applicability. When we read this, we weren't sure what that actually meant. And if we find it confusing, we feel like the staff's going to find it confusing, and applying it could be confusing. So a lot of times you have applicability described when an application comes forward. It'll define the boundaries of what that site plan is, but there's also all these other conflicting sections of the code that talk about what's considered non-conforming, when something hits certain thresholds. So we'd like to just revise that language so it's consistent with your current ordinances, so that the intent is that when an application comes forward, there's clear direction that it needs to meet the invasive and native species requirements, and there's no gray area there. So we were looking just to refine that a little further. And then we had some concerns. It wasn't just our team. We've got landscape architects and planners on staff. So I had one of our Georgia licensed landscape architects review this in the context of making sure that it meets standards. And she wanted to make a few changes. She found that some of the requirements, it seemed a little bit, not just excessive, but hard to interpret. So we wanted to potentially put some changes there. We also wanted to change some references to make sure that they were correct. Georgia Invasive Species Council is the correct term. We had, the one that I had the most concern about was the fact that there was a requirement that if you cannot provide the native species based on what the code says, you'd have to request from a local nursery to written documentation proof that they couldn't get that species. I have real concern about that, because there's no, like, what's going to compel a nursery that you're not buying materials from to write a document, to write a letter that says we're not going to provide this. So instead, in a lot of ordinances I've written, we put in where they don't get that waiver. Instead, there's some equivalencies. So if you had to provide a certain caliper tree, certain height tree of a native species, it might make more sense to provide multiple of another species to really meet that same canopy, to meet that same requirement without putting the burden on requesting from some third party who has no obligation to provide it to you. So we wanted to put in some more language that's more enforceable and get you to the end of the day, get you to the same place, which is providing that requirement for native species without asking a third party for help. We also wanted to further define the requirements based on the Georgia Council of Invasive Species. So they do have different priority and watch lists and species to be concerned about. We wanted to make sure that language, this is language from our landscape architects that we wanted to include. She also suggested more to your invasive species list that weren't included. We felt like there were more that you should not accept and not include. And so she's put in another list of potential requirements that we think could really strengthen the ordinance and bring you more of that native species. And let me see if there was, I think that was, so in our initial peer review, oh, do we have something else? Oh, and then just having, there's actually certain executive orders that we need to make sure we're consistent with, and further definitions. So I think that was the bulk of what we saw, just doing our initial peer review. We really felt that it's a strong ordinance, there's good bones. We just wanted to make sure that it's enforceable for your staff and meets the requirements, and also adds in some of that language that adds additional non-native species to that list that weren't permitted, but provides that level of consistency with your existing ordinances.
Okay, thank you. To me, this is the match made in heaven between our Planning Commission or our UDA committee members and Inspire. So what I think I understand is our Planning Commission came up with the meat of the document. You've massaged it a little bit. Our discussion now will be about the procedure and how we move forward, right, Council? As opposed to, we're not going to nitpick which kind of trees are on the list. Since the Planning Commission created this, you've modified it. Is it going back to the planning commission, Shayla? What do we need to do next?
So they've provided a recommendation to you, and Ted, correct me where I'm wrong. If you would like to accept the recommendations that she's providing, you can either accept their recommendation for the planning commission or give her input as well.
This is the UDO, right?
Well, this is,
I'm sorry, the land development ordinance.
yes, correct,
It's not the zoning ordinance.
correct.
Council, I think we ought to clean it up in ordinance format and put it on the next agenda for adoption unless council has additional changes it wants to make.
I think that's reasonable. That would give us an opportunity to hear from the planning commission members or the UDO committee members if they have any concerns or if something needs to
But if
change.
they've already reviewed it and sent their recommendation, then, yeah.
And they have.
You-
But they haven't
No, they
submitted it
haven't
back.
seen this.
They, let me start there. They have not presented this back to council. They've made a recommendation to council, but it has not been presented to council.
Who made a, I don't understand
Sorry,
that.
the planning commission made a recommendation that has not been yet presented back to you. They being Inspire has taken the opportunity to review it so that when it's coming to you for a recommendation, that it is prepared under review from them as well.
Did Inspire do that in conjunction with the planning commission?
No, they came on board after.
Okay, why don't we send it back to the planning commission?
Exactly.
So
Okay.
they can do a final
Exactly.
comment and then forward it to council
Received.
for final adoption.
Received.
Yeah, I like
Agreed.
that. I like that approach.
I have a question.
I like the approach of sending it back to the people who are our citizens that are on the planning commission. And a real shout out to the planning commission, in particular to Kenneth Hamner, who spent an inordinate amount of time on this particular change to this ordinance. But I think they need to review it because they know, hopefully, they know the best of what's needed here in Peachtree City with the help of Inspire to give them a little guidance along the way. So I think back to the planning commission one more time.
All right, council?
Okay, my question is, and just correct me if I'm reading this wrong. Okay, so the approved native plant list is gonna be like a separate addendum that gets, that we can modify or update as plants get added to it or whatever?
It's going to be codified in the ordinance, so it'll become part of the ordinance. You'd be able to amend that going forward, but it can also be by reference, and then that would leave it outside the ordinance, and then you'd have the opportunity to add and subtract without having to go through that process.
Okay,
So
cause from
it's-
what I see in here is, it's got a paragraph that talks about the approved native list, but it doesn't list.
Right.
And then, but the invasive species is very specifically listed.
So those would not be able to be modified unless it came back in front of you as
Right.
a text amendment. And then, so the text is in there, just like you said, that it describes the list. A lot of times it makes more sense to keep it, like you said, as a separate
Right.
document, so it can be updated as needed.
Right.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I had one quick question. With you know, our desire to always bring in new business, I don't buy trees every day. Is there a significant cost difference between native species trees and others? And would this be an increased burden on those developments?
It's a really great question, and I worked on another ordinance about a year ago that we spent a significant amount of time talking to tree professionals, not just landscape architects, but actual arborists and people that actually are purchasing the trees. And there can be, if you don't have some more flexibility in there, and that's what we're looking to make sure we can get those natives in with those equivalencies. So if you can't get it, and it has to be a specific species, if the tree list is too limited, it's going to be challenging. If we allow some more flexibility in the caliper, in the height, in the species type, as long as it's native, they can build in those equivalencies, and it shouldn't be an additional burden.
Okay. Yeah, I just worry about discouraging.
Right.
those. Thank you.
All right,
you.
council, any other comments? I think we're good,
have
and we.
I have one more question. I went through this in detail, and I happen to, have had some of these trees in my property and have now been removed. But the one that I surprised was not in there, maybe it's a native species, is the sweet gum. The sweet gums are the ones that drop the seeds that have all the little spikes all over them. I'm sure everybody has seen them before. Even the squirrels won't eat them. So I don't, is that just a native tree to our area, or is it an invasive tree?
That is not something I know off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I've written it down. I will double check and I'll talk to our landscape architect about it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a direction,
Oh.
we have a direction forward. So thank you. Shayla, thanks very much. All right, it is 5 minutes before 11. We're going to take a 5-minute break, 5 minutes. There was a line in the ladies' room. Is everybody back, do you think?
Well, if they're online, they're not back.
Yep.
And they can't answer.
Yep. Discussion item, work session discussion item B, Amwaste presentation. Actually, just to give a little background, we had a bit of a presentation in our last meeting, which was July 9th in the evening. It was very well attended. We had a lot of citizen discussion. Today, this agenda item is a discussion item. We're not going to vote today. We like to hear from you. It's very rare that I speak for my fellow council members, but I will tell you that we all read our emails, all of them, and we hear you, and so we're interested in learning more. In our January retreat, we discussed a lot of topics, and one was we kind of wanted to find out if there was a way to, if we could keep costs the same or even reduce, but throw in an added service possibly of yard debris removal. Would that be a good thing, and what would it look like? So that's what kicked off our conversation. But again, this is very citizen driven. We had a public conversation in our evening meeting in July. Now we're going to be back to morning work sessions, which we had done for a couple years before the City Hall remodel. So we're glad to be back. It's easier on staff, and we did make a council decision a couple years ago to have one of our 2 monthly meetings in the mornings. So we're back to doing that, and I'm happy to be here. So with that, I'll start with Justin Strickland, our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I think you said everything I was going to say.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
I was going to give a summary of how we got here, and I think you summed it up pretty well. So really, I'm just going to turn it over to Mandy Renova with Amwaste. Amwaste is, when we did the RFP, we had a staff review. We had 6 proposals that we went through. I was not on the committee. I usually do not serve on those committees because I don't want to put any bias as city manager into who we choose or who has scored what. But the apparent winner coming out of those 6 proposals was Amwaste, which at the last July meeting, we had a presentation from Jonathan Miller, who's our Assistant City Manager, Public Works Director, about the RFP process and about the different proposals. And so at the last meeting, council, you did ask Amwaste, who was the chosen one out of the RFP, to come and give a whole proposal just themselves. So with that, I'll introduce Mandy to go through the presentation.
Sure. Hi, my name is Mandy Renova, Mayor and Council. We are delighted to be here to provide some insight. Some insight on what Amwaste does. We are, a local service provider. I know one of the big questions was, who is Amwaste? So we're excited to be able to go through that today. What we'll cover today is history on Amwaste, who we are, what our communication plans look like, what our customer service standards are, what the transition would look like should we be awarded one of the options that were presented in the RFP. And then our recycling infrastructure is a highlight that I think we bring to the table that is very unique. The Amwaste story. We're headquartered in West Point, Georgia. We're a company that is a complete solid waste infrastructure. We provide residential, commercial, and industrial services across Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana. We have approximately 500 plus employees across our entire enterprise. We own or operate 9 landfills, 5 transfer stations, 3 recycling centers, and service well over 300,000 customers. We also have municipal contracts in the surrounding area. We provide service to the city of Newnan under a municipal contract. The same for the city of Fairburn, Tyrone, Lovejoy, and several others. We are excited to have this opportunity because we feel like we've been a good partner in the area, and we would love to expand that relationship with the city of Peachtree City. The business itself has been intact for 16 years. Again, many people didn't know who Amwaste was, but we've came into the market. We've really had a great opportunity to expand our services. We've had an opportunity to secure several municipal contracts. Starting with our leadership team, I want to point out, starting with, we call him Chip, so Charles Russell. He's our CEO. He's local, he's involved, he's innovative, he's an engineer. His story is one that you would love to hear. It's one that tells a story of someone who started from the ground up, living at a landfill developing a landfill, sleeping on the couch at night, building it from the ground up. Truly an innovative engineer. And he is the best caretaker of his employees. He is completely dedicated to us and dedicated to his community. Steve Karn, he came from us from Advanced Disposal. 25 years of experience, former CFO with Advanced Disposal, obviously very skilled in transitions, municipalities, service, financials, a great player to have on our team with a plethora of experience. Rick Sweeney, been in the industry 34 years. He's worked for publicly traded companies, privately held companies, transitioned a ton of municipal contracts, and really a great player to oversee what the transition would look like for Amway should we be awarded. Of course, I'm Mandy Renova. I've been in the industry 23 years. It's the only industry I've spent my life in. My entire career has been dedicated to solid waste. I've been fortunate enough to be on the sidelines and be in the front to transition municipal contracts. I've been a regional customer service manager. I've led call centers that handle 25 to 3,000 calls a day. Very skilled in this arena, very confident that we are a great fit for the city of Peachtree City. Brandon Weems, who is with us today, he's our Director of Operations on Collections. He's a 14-year tenure with AmWaste. He has so many skills outside of just municipalities, landfill, logistics. Is going to be a great player when we look at trying to transition and making sure that we're covering all the bases that's important to Peachtree City and the community. Kyron Ellis, who's with us today as well, he'll be our district manager. He has 8 years of experience in the industry. He's transitioned the local contracts for Noonan, Fairburn, Lovejoy, and Tyrone. He'll be your hands-on, boots on the ground, leading the morale, leading the service, being that key player that we need to transition. When looking at our Georgia municipal contracts, I thought it was important to give a good array of contracts that we have. This is not our complete list. Starting at the top, City of Noonan, very close in size with Peachtree City. Similar services. The City of Noonan provides the bulk and the yard waste in their contract. We provide the residential service. But it's a 5-year contract, and you can see at the bottom, we've had a glowing review from the City of Noonan. Looking at Fairburn and Lovejoy, those are similar in size. They were opportunities that came to us at the same time. So in January of 24, we transitioned about 9,000 plus customers between 2 different districts, 2 different managers. Obviously, that takes coordination. That takes great communication. We did it seamlessly. If you were to call these municipalities, they would tell you that our transition was flawless. Tyrone was established before I got here, but it was another great opportunity, a great fit in. City of Forsyth. That also came to us with some commercial services. So not only did we have residential service with Forsyth, we also had an opportunity to be this commercial service provider. And that is the same case with McIntosh County. McIntosh County, for those who don't know, is down on the coast, down by St. Simon. We operate a landfill for them. We have a complete franchise with them for residential and commercial services. And then West Point is a great point out that we're not just in it for the big markets. We like the small communities, the quaint communities, the ones that we feel like we can be a really good community partner with. I know price has been a hot topic, so I wanted to make sure that we covered that today. Looking over the prices that we presented, of course, we were not the lowest bidder. We were about middle of the line. But these are the options that we presented in our RFP. In accordance with the scenarios, we also gave some additional services that we would be happy to offer. And should the council vote to go with base 1, which is just trash and recycling, we do have some add-on services that we can offer. We can offer some on-call service for bulk and yard waste, meaning the resident would call in directly to AmWaste. They would have the opportunity to request that service, make a payment over the phone for the service, and get that scheduled on the scheduled service days that we have allocated for Peachtree City. In the event we go with scenario 2 and 3, those are different options. But what we would like to do is be able to craft a tailored plan that best suits the needs, the wants, and the desires for the residents of Peachtree City. One of the things that we did offer was a backdoor service. That's a premium valet service, meaning that we would come up to your home in the event that you're going to be out of town, you're not able to get the can down to the curb. It's not a medical need, it's a premier service. We would offer that backdoor service to residents at a higher rate, of course, because that's a smaller truck with an individual who parks the truck at the road, walks up to the home, recovers the can, dumps it in the truck, and returns it back to the house. So it's truly a valet service. But we wanted to make sure that we created a tailored plan to where we cover all the wants and needs and desires for the residents of Peachtree City. We also committed to doing the annual cleanup complimentary. Being a company that has disposal options, landfills, street sweeper stations, roll-off boxes, we felt like this would be a great effort to really get our name out in the community, because during the course of this, we don't want to just be your trash provider. We want to be your community partner. And so we felt like that would be a great way to partner with Peachtree City regarding that annual cleanup. Christmas tree collection. We'll offer that at no additional charge. Typically, the way that would be scheduled is you would have the first 2 weeks of January, we would allow the residents to put the Christmas tree to the curb, and we would collect that Christmas tree for them at no additional charge. Regarding the escalations for the pricing, I know there's been a lot of talk about what does that look like after year one. So as a company, we have committed to locking in the rates for whatever scenario is chosen for the first 3 years. Those rates would be fixed, it would be in the contract language, there would be no variance for that. Years 4 and 5 would be calculated just as the RFP aligned at a 3% cap based on the CPIU. Again, once we presented that option, we would provide lots of detail around what that CPI is going to look like. If it comes in at 2.7, that is the annual rate. If it comes in at 4.5, it's a 3% because that cap is there. The only other caveat is the fuel surcharge. As we know, fuel has been quite a hot topic this year. And so in order to protect us as a company, if fuel was to exceed, diesel fuel was to exceed $5.50 per gallon, we would implement a fuel surcharge. With all of this, communication would be superb. We would make sure the staff is aware, council is aware, we're sending out letters, we're putting notes on our invoices. No one would be caught by surprise, no one would feel like we're trying to underhand or slide an increase in. There would be great communication out to all the residents, the city, the staff, and the council of Peachtree City. Our customer service plan. As I said, I was a call center manager, I was a director of customer service. Customer service is near and dear to my heart. I have had the very fortunate opportunity to work with some of your staff in my former life with my former employee. They can tell you that customer service is important to me. I completely understand the fear of transition. I completely understand the heartburn that comes with change. What I can promise you is that that's what I've built my career on, is customer service. And it's not just customer service internally, it's our external factors as well. We want to make sure that our frontline employees, our CSRs answering the phone, our operations staff, our drivers, our billing department, our collection department is providing the utmost customer service, making sure that we are representing our company well and making the residents feel comfortable should you guys choose to go with Amwaste. We will have a portal available to the city. That portal will allow the city to track any requests that are entered into that portal and run monthly reports on it. So as an example, if 123 West Main Street calls in 5 times over the course of a year, you can pull the report directly on that one address. You can see what was submitted for the concern, what the resolution was, and how frequently it has occurred. This would be a portal available to staff this would not be a portal available to the residents. What the residents would have is, of course, a dedicated CSR that's dedicated to Peachtree City, that is knowledgeable on the service standards, the pricing, any hiccups that come along the way, any high traffic areas regarding schools and service delays that may be around that, anything that is happening in Peachtree City with a service that we're going to provide, that dedicated CSR will be included in all conversations. They will also have a team of folks around them that we will continue to educate in the event that a resident calls our call center number. As you know, with companies, there might be a few different phone numbers that you can Google. We want to make sure that if they do get to our call center, that they have the same information. But we will have a lead dedicated CSR that will be very familiar with all Peachtree City. We do monitor our call center calls. We do that for education and training. We have quarterly training with our call center team. Again, the hope is that the resident will contact the dedicated CSR and not get to our call center. But if they did, we want to assure you that that staff is trained, monitored, guided, loved, appreciated, and we're constantly educating them to make sure that they're well informed. On the operations side, the technology that we have available to support customer service. We have real-time tracking, GPS and video. So in our truck, the city staff would have an option to log into a system that would provide a breadcrumb trail of where that truck is. They can see where that truck's at in the event they've got a resident that is adamant that they've been missed. They're able to log in and see where the truck is. You can even look at the video footage to see the arm from the truck extending out to grab the can, dumping it, and setting it back down. You can see real-time data regarding our operations team. Transparency is key for all of us. And we understand that the city having access to that is truly a benefit to the customer service that we provide. The hot stop communication, that is an internal process that we have in the event that we've got an area that has been missed. We are not perfect. Unfortunately, things are going to happen. But it's always in the way that we respond and we resolve. And so by creating this hot stop communication, that is communication that starts with the operations team, driven from the resident, and then that communication goes over into the driver. He's held accountable every day. He or she is held accountable every day by checking in at the end of the day with this hot stop list. All of those addresses need to be initialed and time-stamped by that driver. In addition, our operations team, of course, has the visual footage to check behind the driver to make sure that those hot stops were completed. Maybe it's not a missed pickup. Maybe it's that the can accidentally fell over 1 week. We want to make sure that when the driver set the can back down with our video footage, that he set the can back up and the lid was closed. Data is something that we pride ourselves on. We have lots of communication efforts regarding data. We want to make sure that the city, as they requested, has the tonnage information for the garbage that's collected, also has the tonnage information in the site that it was taken to on the recycling. Our recycling center that's owned and operated by AmWaste allows us to provide reports that can show the material that comes in, how it was processed, and what the end result is on it. So all the reports that are required in the RFP, we are comfortable and able to provide those. Transition and timeline. So unfortunately, since we don't have a start date, it's hard to completely identify what that's going to look like. So this is a general synopsis. Upon award, we would immediately begin looking at the draft contract, working with the city to get the address list, procuring the trucks and the carts to make sure that we have the appropriate equipment in place for what that start date looks like. Onboarding and training, that starts with our customer service team and our operations. As we're hiring and bringing in new drivers, we're making sure they're familiar with the area, they've been through their safety training, they've completed their background check, they've completed their drug screen, making sure that we've sat them down and done an onboarding presentation with them The customer service team would spend time with operations. They would spend time in a truck. They would spend time out on the route so that they completely understand what their job is going to entail when the resident calls in with questions. The coordination between AmWaste and the city. That is something that I will solely be in charge of, and that communication starts in the very beginning with the education plan. What does the education plan look like to ensure that everyone in Peachtree City is aware a change is coming, what type of change is coming, what type of services are being offered, transparency on the rates, making sure that the city has buy-in on the education that goes out. We're going to utilize social media, mailers, town hall meetings, any idea that the staff has. We have done banners before, we've done newspaper articles, just making sure the city provides us support when we're asking, what do you think works best with communication out to your residents? The route readiness, that allows us to make sure, of course, we have our trucks, but that those drivers assigned to those routes are familiar. They're going out and they're doing mock drives. They're out in the community. Again, they're finding areas where maybe there's hospitals or school zones, notating that so they're not providing residential service in the middle of drop-off and pickup or drop-offs in the morning. Making sure that they have good communication back to their team regarding what they're seeing out in the community. Getting carts delivered. What does that look like? Depending on the different scenarios presented, we could be delivering up to 3 carts. If we go with trash and recycling, we've only got 2. So understanding the logistics plan that's associated with getting cart deliveries is part of the route readiness. Go live prep. Obviously a very exciting time, but still lots of transparent communication, making sure that we don't have anything that hasn't been addressed, that we don't have any areas that are unique that need to provide special service, making sure we've tied everything up, ready to put a bow on it, and send it out to the community. Our communication plan, as I discussed, would include direct mailers, letters to households, website and social media, town hall meetings, HOA meetings, making sure our route maps are available on the city's website, making sure that if you are a new move-in during the midst of a transition, how do I find out what my service date is or what it's going to be? Making sure that information is provided to the city, readily available on the website. It will be an extensive hands-on launch on communication. Again, being a customer service manager, I completely understand how important that is. It is almost the most important thing we do is our communication. Because we need to make sure that we align the citizens for success to have phenomenal service, and we need to make sure we set up AmWaste to be a successful service provider. There is an example of the carts that we provide. Again, without knowing what direction we're going, the yard waste cart is not up there, but should we go to the direction of yard waste, it would look similar to the black cart with a yellow lid, but it would probably be a brown body with a black lid. So your black cart with your yellow lid would be your primary can for your residential trash. Your yellow cart with a black lid would be your recycling. And if we go with yard waste, it would probably be a brown cart with a black lid. Once all this trash is collected out on the routes, our disposal facilities are operations that we own or operate. So the trash from City of Peachtree City would go directly to the Fayette County Transfer Station. From there, it would be transloaded down to our Cedar Grove landfill. Regarding the recycling material that would be collected on the route, that will go directly to our material recovery facility. That's a facility that we own and we operate.
Where is that?
Milledgeville, Georgia. So our material recovery facility sets us apart from for several different reasons. One, most trash companies don't own or operate a recycling facility. I personally have spent 3 years in the recycling industry, understand the need for education, understand the need for transparency, understand that there is a myth that just because it's collected at the curbside, it could go to the landfill. I understand all of that, and I want to make sure that we are transparent on all of our recycling. During our interviews, this was one item that I knew was important. I knew that recycling was important in Peachtree City. And so we wanted to be able to speak to that process. So the process is the resident obviously sorts their materials, places it in the container that's designated for recycling. From there, it's collected with a different truck, a different driver, and a specific route that is dedicated to recycling only. It is then transported, in this case, it'll go actually to the Fayette County Transfer Station first, and then it'll be transloaded from the Fayette County Transfer Station to our MRF. In our reporting, we can provide reports that support it going from the Fayette County Transfer Station to our Milledgeville MRF, showing that the tonnage is equal and the same. From there, once it's transported to the MRF, it's provided to the tipping floor. It's then loaded onto a process of balers and sorters and magnets and air chutes so that the sorting and the processing completely separates the material as it should be. Paper's going with paper, plastic's going with plastic. Of course, glass is not an acceptable item, but it'll show up. We'll make sure glass gets to where it needs to go, making sure that the metal and the steel is separated. It then goes into bunkers, so that material is segregated. Then it goes through a baling system, and as you can see in the pictures, these are bales of either cardboard and paper or plastics. From there, that material is sold back into the industry. Those bales are picked up from companies like Georgia Pacific, Pratt Recycling out of Atlanta, GP Harmon. It is a full circle project to make sure that the effort that is put into the recycling in the home is going directly back into the recycling industry. Wanted to provide you a few examples of education that we've used in the past. Specifically speaking on recycling, we will make sure all of our education identifies what is acceptable and what's not. Things like water hoses sometimes end up in recycling because people think it has a plastic outside covering. It's not recyclable. Things like Christmas lights end up in recycling bins. Specific types of plastic kid toys, because people think it's plastic, end up in recycling bins. But unfortunately, it's not recyclable. So we want to make sure we identify what is acceptable. This is completely in ordinance with what you guys currently accept. We're not trying to step outside of that. We want to make sure that what's been working in the past continues through that. We want to make sure that that same material that everyone is used to sorting, we do the same thing. And those are all materials that are accepted within our material recovery facility. Regarding the education at the bottom, obviously everything would be branded specifically for Peachtree City. We would make sure that we have more information than what the resident needs. We're going to make sure that if we go with yard waste, they completely understand what the dimensions need to look like if it's outside the container or if it's inside the container. We want to make sure the residents understand that a tree trunk is not acceptable for yard waste. We want to make sure that we educate them on bundles. We want to educate them on where the can truly needs to sit for successful service. Power lines are an issue, making sure you're not placing your can underneath the power line. If we go with bulk service through a grapple truck that has to come out and have an arm to pick up that material, we want to make sure they're educated on the best place to set out that yard waste and bulk items. Cart placement. Because it will be an automated truck, which I'm sure you guys currently have in the community already, we want to make sure they understand which way the cart needs to sit. The wheels need to be closest to the house. The lid needs to open to the street. Holiday schedules. Our holidays are different than cities. We don't close our operations for Martin Luther King. We want to make sure that we educate the community on what holidays we will delay service on and what that service delay looks like. In the event that service day's on Thursday, the holiday's Thanksgiving Thursday, your service day would move to Friday, We educate them and we provide them a service schedule of what that looks like. In the event we go with recycling and yard debris, what do those pickups look like? If the schedule's different from the trash, we have that calendar made available to them. Again, we understand that communication is almost one of the most important parts of this. And we want to make sure that as we're communicating out to the community, we provide them and answer all the questions that might come through. Building a strong partnership. So in the event, like I said, we don't go with option 3 that has bulk and yard waste. We want to be able to customize a tailored program for the city of Peachtree City. We are flexible in our yard waste collection. We can look at the carted service. We can look at bags and bundles. One thing we cannot do is offer a vacuum truck, unfortunately, for leaves. That is one service that we do not offer. But we do have the capability of having a scheduled service, a call-in service, and then what that looks like either from a container perspective or sitting it out at the curb. Same thing for bulk. If we just go with the trash and recycling service, we want to make sure the residents have an option to call in and schedule bulk. And what does that look like? What are those guidelines? What are the items that we can accept and we can't? What size? When's it going to be collected? Again, tailoring that program and making sure that we're educating and communicating that out. Regarding HOAs, I am intimately familiar with some of the HOAs in Peachtree City due to my former employer. I was actually responsible for some of those contracts in my former life. So I'm very familiar with HOAs, private streets, service that's unique. Maybe the can sits behind the home in every house in the community. Maybe there's bins tucked away in corrals that we need to service. We are prepared and we are situated to provide that service. We have smaller trucks. We provide the same type of service in all the municipalities around us that we service. We believe that AmWaste is situated to be a community partner that will allow a smooth transition should you guys choose to move forward with us. At this time, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Mandy. Wow. Obviously, there's a lot to unpack here. I'm going to let council ask questions or, make comments. Can you, while we do that, can we please put that slide back up that shows option 1, 2, 3, the $3 amounts? And while you do that, so I'll just start on a personal note. I've been with Republic for 27 years. I like them. I've never had a problem with Republic. I pay $87.60 a quarter. If we had scenario 2, that's $25 a month. That brings my cost down $12 a quarter to $75 a quarter. And what kind of yard debris removal does that option include for me?
That would include a carted service.
A cart?
Carts, yes.
You would give me a cart that's 4 yard debris. So now I have 3, like trash, recycling, yard debris. I can put it out every week?
Correct.
Wow. In a cart. Okay.
And so that would allow, we always prefer leaves to be bagged because it just keeps it clean. But loose leaves could go in there, bundles of twigs can go in there, shrubbery can go in there. As long as it's contained and the lid is closed, you can fit as much as you can in there. Now, what we might see is someone trying to stick a small tree trunk in the bottom. And when it goes to be serviced, it's going to be rather heavy. That would be a cart that we probably have to flag because that arm, the automated arm, only has, such a capability of picking up so much weight. So there will be some education, of course, around the yard debris carts.
Thank you. The key performance standards listed in the RFP, as Jonathan reviewed in our last meeting on July 9th, 99% route completion with routes not completed within 24 hours of the scheduled service day listed as a service failure. Missed pickups must be corrected within 1 business day. Customer service standards. All calls have to be answered within a certain number of seconds. Complaints have to be acknowledged within 1 business day and resolved in 2. stipulations about technology include all the GPS and cameras like you talked about on the trucks today. The city would not do the billing, is the discussion that we had, but Cinnamon Mac in the Public Works Department currently handles issues from citizens. I mean, no doubt she's going to get calls, but Justin made it clear in our last meeting that it would be easier, not harder on staff if we have only one company to deal with and not three. Right now, she shouldn't be getting any calls. It's your contract or my contract with a hauler, but if something goes wrong, Public Works gets a call. And it would be easier on our staff to deal with one company and not three. We had very thoughtful comments from our citizens last time. One was, how many jobs in the city would we have to create? How many positions in order to manage all this? And the answer is none. And to the point that Justin made last time, if our staff have to deal with only one company instead of three, it's easier on staff. I will point out, I've talked to Al Yogel and the Keep Peachtree City Beautiful workers many times. They get frustrated because we have no accountability with three haulers for litter and spills. It's always, well, not my trucks. You know, I think that the cities that have gone to single hauler are comfortable with having only one hauler because then there is accountability.
Yes.
I called Mayor Dial of Tyrone and he checked around and got back to me. He said the only couple of calls they've had since they went to Amwaste is, this is so gross, he called it garbage juice. He said a couple calls from citizens about garbage juice, and when they contacted Amwaste, they came out right away and took care of the problem instantly. We have no history with Amwaste in Peachtree City. That's true. We had that very thoughtful comment last time. How do we know this will work out? Well, that's what we're going to have to figure out together. If we did make a decision to move forward with this, we are able to look to other communities. I've talked to a couple of friends of mine in Noonan that now has Amwaste. And if you have friends in Tyrone or Noonan, I encourage you to call them and find out. Don't take it from me and don't take it from Mandy. I mean, you sound very knowledgeable, but we should find out for ourselves as we go forward. Call your friends in those communities, and there are lots of communities. I hope, we were told last meeting, I hope Peachtree City residents will be allowed to seek whatever company they want so as to assure the best service. Our current choice of three is actually only a choice of three, and those three were vetted and approved by the city. So our current free choice is, yeah, sort of. You have a choice of three. Me too. I have a choice of three that were qualified and vetted by Peachtree City. Another comment was, competition keeps prices down. Yep, that's true. You have the option to go to any one of three companies and see what they will charge. Here's what this one will charge, and Peachtree City has the opportunity to rebid. We bid this. This was a request for quote. I probably said that wrong, but this is a very competitively offered quote. And Peachtree City maintains the right to rebid on a regular basis. Job loss, people are worried about drivers for Republic or Pollard or GFL. Job loss because those drivers for those companies wouldn't be working for them in Peachtree City any longer. And to that, I guess, I'm making this up, I guess that you would need more drivers, and I assume that you kind of bring them over.
For sure. We'd be happy to have them.
All right. That's my only comment at this time. I want to hear from council. I want to hear the public comments from the people who signed up. And then I'm going to open it up because we want to hear from you, and we're open to that. Council?
Do you want questions or comments at this point?
Both. Mandy's here to answer our questions.
I got questions.
Go ahead, go first.
Can I go questions?
Of course.
All right. Could you take another minute, Mandy, and go through each of those scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3, from your standpoint of what it includes on a monthly basis And how many times per month, or is it every other week, or is it every week, whatever? Give me those kinds of data, if you don't mind. I know you've probably said it already 25 times. Do it one more time for the record.
Absolutely. Scenario 1, trash and recycling. That's going to be a weekly service with a cart that's provided to the resident, very similar to the choices that are currently available for the 3 haulers. Scenario 2, same services, add in yard waste. Yard waste will be in a carted 96-gallon, same size as your trash can, service provided on a weekly basis. So adding in yard waste. Scenario 3, full service option, trash and recycling, carted yard debris, bulk pickup, scheduled on a set day for the resident to put their bulk service out. There will be guidelines and limitations on sizes and acceptable material for that bulk service. It'll be curbside bulk service provided with scenario 3.
Let me ask a question then on the second part of the question. On the third one, if they put out a microwave oven that's broken, get rid of it. That's part of what would be acceptable type household waste. How about putting out a big refrigerator? That may be something different.
Yeah, no, refrigerators are acceptable. Just has
Okay.
to be tagged that the Freon has been removed.
Okay. So basically, household items, pretty
Appliances.
much across the board. I didn't hear mattresses. Just throw that one out.
Yeah, so mattresses are unique. If we identify that mattresses are acceptable, it will be one mattress. Obviously, due to the size, the compaction of the truck, that is a conversation that we need to have with city staff. Maybe we set up during the annual cleanup, that's when mattresses come in.
Okay. Maybe I should go back and ask it, the question backwards. Under the third scenario, what would typically not be considered to be picked up?
Tires is a big,
Tires,
yes,
okay?
yeah. So tires are not acceptable in the bulk material. We're not going to take large auto park cars.
Like an engine.
Your engine, yeah. Definitely not going to be able to take that. It is primarily your household trash, anything generated within your home. And same for, yard waste. It's residential yard waste. It's not contractor yard waste.
Exactly.
It's residential.
And would that third scenario require another container, or is it just laid out on the edge of the property?
Bulk pickup would be curbside. It would not require an additional container.
Okay.
We would send what we called the grapple truck. So it's like a claw. Some people call it that. It picks it up and sets it inside the box for the truck.
And that one would be alternate weeks, or does that be on a call basis?
No, that would be a schedule. That would not be on
So it would
call.
be a schedule.
Yes,
How
sir.
often would that schedule be?
I believe that was once a week as well. No, monthly. Sorry.
We're checking our quote on that one.
If I remember correctly from the RFP, bulk pickup was every other week.
Okay.
It was offset.
So,
Is how
so,
it was.
so that would mean on week number 1, we would have the trash and recycle. On week number 2, we would have the trash, recycle, yard waste, and bulk.
Correct.
And it would alternate back and forth. So that would mean how many trucks per week from M-Waste would go on a typical street in the city of Peachtree City?
You would have a dedicated truck for the trash, a dedicated truck for the recycling. Yard waste, if it's containerized with a cart, would be a third truck. If it's not, it goes in with the bulk pickup, which would be a separate truck.
So we could have up to 4 trucks per week. That's certainly better than the 6 trucks a week we have now.
Yes, sir.
But at least I understand it could be up to 4 per street per week. Did I say that correctly?
Every other week you would have 4.
Oh, every other week we'd have 4.
Yeah.
The other week we'd only have 2.
Correct.
So 2 and 4 would be the type of trucks we'd have on alternate weeks.
Yes, sir.
Going up our streets.
Recycling is every other week?
Recycling is weekly.
Okay. Good. I thank you. I've got a better picture. I have more questions, but I'm going to let some of the other council come up to them.
Council questions?
I'm typing. I can go ahead then. So during this process, one of the things I looked into was how other cities in Georgia transitioned from multiple haulers to a single hauler. One of the things that one of the cities did was a grandfathering process where people who already lived here and had a service were able to stay with that service. And then as, you know, people could still opt in. And then as people moved here, then they would be with the single hauler. Is that anything that you've ever done in the past or would consider?
We have never done it in the past. When this bid was submitted, it's based on the number of homes that are in the RFP. So unfortunately, in order to be able to hold that pricing, we would need to be able to move forward with the 13,000 whatever homes. Transition, we can be flexible. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be 2-3 months. We can look at a 6-month, 9-month, 1-year plan. But at some point, the entire city would need to be serviced by AmWaste. It would not be a grandfather option.
Got it. And that transition, I guess, would only give people that option for that amount of time. They could opt in right away, but by the end of that, everybody would be under your contract.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. One of the things that I learned during this was, I think we all know Peachtree City has 3 service providers. One thing that I learned was it wasn't that Peachtree City limits those options to only 3, that if any company came in and met the qualifications, and as long as they met those qualifications, they could be another service provider. So even though we have 3 now, it could potentially be more. It's not that we tell any companies no.
Correct.
With learning that, if it's the case that you do not win this contract, is there an interest to be another provider?
Absolutely. Yes.
You think that that's the way that you guys
Absolutely,
would go? Okay,
yes.
so if you do not win this contract, then there would be even more trucks on our streets.
Correct.
It wouldn't just be the 6. It would
Pending you approve our requests, yes.
Right.
We are definitely interested in the area. It makes sense for us. Again, we're Noonan, Tyrone, you know, we're here in the area, so it makes sense for us to apply for that.
My guess is that you're familiar with the qualifications.
Yes, we've
when you've gone through the transition process with other municipalities, personally?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're asking? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I've transitioned probably 20 plus communities. I've been in the industry 23 years and have been in this same position for the last 15.
Great. Okay. So with that, my assumption would be that you have probably heard the same concerns from lots of people from different municipalities. Is there anything that you haven't addressed in this presentation that you could probably think that we would hear in public comment coming up that you would like to address now before we hear from other concerns that maybe you haven't addressed yet?
Great question. I think transition is really just the fear. I think that it's been addressed, but I will just reiterate. Transition for us, the minute I left the council meeting, I immediately called our CEO. And I said, this is important to me. This is important to our company. The transition has to be flawless. I've seen it done well. I've seen it done bad. And so if the fear is transition, I want to give my personal commitment to the city of Peachtree City. I will make sure it's done correctly. I have a team behind me that is phenomenal. And they are committed to the community, and we are good community partners.
Okay, thank you for that. So you talked about where regular trash goes and where recycling goes. Where does yard waste go?
To the landfill.
Okay, so let's just go into the landfill. In your customer service, if someone calls you, because they're not calling us anymore, they will be calling you. Is it a human answering that phone, or is it an automated service?
Yes, it is a human. Yeah, I mean, there may be a list of options. Press 1 for Peachtree City. But yes, ultimately, we have a human who is going to be answering all of those calls. It's not an AI-generated voice. It's not, it's a human. We have a lot of people sitting in our offices. Kyron has humans in his office that answer phone calls all day long.
All right, great. That's all I have for right now.
Thank you.
Mr. Polachek?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. And to piggyback off Councilwoman Johnson's comments about humans, I know that's one of the frustrations I've heard about one of the current vendors. And I had last year when I was researching yard debris pickup and pricing. I remember being on hold for 30 minutes with one of the vendors, and I talked to someone in India who had no answer for me. It was a very frustrating experience. So these are local humans.
Yes, they are
Yeah.
local humans. We do not outsource our customer service. Kyron and I have sat in on many interviews for local humans, and I again ran a call center for one of your current vendors out of Noonan, Georgia, and hired all local humans.
Support local humans. And you know, I used to oversee a constituent services office for a large state agency. We also transitioned to Zendesk, so I was glad to see that. That's the platform. We had a good success with them. So you addressed the smaller trucks for HOAs upon request, because that's one concern we've heard. So that's something y'all can accommodate for our HOAs in Peachtree City.
Absolutely. So we, in Noonan, we have smaller communities, smaller streets, alleyways. That truck is available. It's, we understand the service, as I stated. I'm intimately familiar with some of your HOAs and what that looks like. Still have some of them on my cell phone, and so yeah, we're happy to do that.
We have 23 of those, I think, communities that own their own streets, private streets. That's, you know, that's
Yes.
okay.
Yes. And I do want to put this caveat out there. I discussed with Justin and Jonathan. HOAs obviously have contracts, and so there may need to be some more delay outside of the 1 year if we had to do that. We can be flexible in that, and that's not going to be reflective in our pricing. Our pricing will not change dependent upon whether the HOAs come to AmWaste or they do not transition to AmWaste.
If I may, sorry, Michael, if I may, on that point, HOAs, we did hear from a lot of people who say, I pay for this through my HOA. If the HOA opts to go with AmWaste, is it possible costs might go down? Do they lower their HOA fees? Or, I mean,
Unfortunately not. No, this is the price for Peachtree City.
no, I mean, does the HOA then, they have the opportunity, if your price is less than, let's say,
Oh, sure.
does the HOA has
Yeah,
the option, hey,
yeah.
we're paying less now.
That would be great. Yeah. I mean, if the price is less, yeah, I don't want to speak for the HOA.
Yeah, right,
But
okay.
yeah, the price is as it has been presented. It would be the same price for HOAs. If it's a lower rate, then that's fantastic. Fantastic for all.
Okay, thank you.
There's a few residents have also reached out that have their own means of getting rid of trash. Maybe a business owner who uses his or her business trash. Are there opt-out options for private citizens who have their own means of disposing of trash?
Our understanding is that this is a ordinance and it's required just like any other utility.
Okay.
If the city tells me otherwise, that's a different conversation. But our understanding when we submitted the bid is that all citizens would participate. Any household that has a utility would have trash as another utility service.
Okay. That answers that question. And maybe that's up for further discussion amongst us. Do y'all provide any sort of senior discounts in any of the communities that you serve? I know some vendors do in certain communities. Is that something y'all have experienced or would
We
be open
have,
to? Yeah.
yes, we can offer that. I'm not committed to a number today, but that is a conversation we can have, yes.
Thank you. And I have a list of questions, but I also want to get to our residents. I'm just going to prioritize a few of these. Going to the inflation rate increase that would be expected on the year 4, would that be cumulative of years 1 through 3, 4, just that's the year 4 CPIU inflation rate increase?
Correct, just year 4. It's not cumulative.
Are there any additional, so in terms of the carts, do residents have to pay an additional deposit or anything like that?
No additional cost is required. No
For
delivery.
any of the carts?
No delivery fee. If the citizen damages the cart, i.e. puts hot coals into the cart, it's burned to the ground, there is a fee to replace that cart. And yes, that does happen,
Sounds like you've seen
unfortunately.
that happen, yeah.
Yes.
And so the total invoice amount, which would be charged quarterly, that is the number that we're seeing on the screen, which is the monthly. There are no other additional fees. This is the total invoice fee that would be there. There's no other environmental fees or administrative fees that are quietly snuck on there?
No surcharge, no fuel and environmental fees, no bill pay option fees, no fees.
So the most
Flat rate.
So if let's say we go with scenario 2, 25, so that's 75 a quarter. So the maximum amount would be just 75 times 0.03%.
Pending the resident didn't call in for any additional services,
Okay.
it would be 75 a quarter.
Okay, understood. Covers a few questions right now. I'd like to turn to the rest and then also hear from the residents. I'm sure
Ms.
we'll
Brown?
come back around.
Yeah, I just have one question for now, then I agree, we wanna let the citizens speak, but, if we don't go with you, and you decide to apply and meet the qualifications to become our 4th approved hauler, what would your rates be?
I can't answer that.
You gotta take time.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
I had one question for that.
We have public comments signed up. And so we'll go with those names. Who is our first public commenter?
The first person signed up to speak is Diane Markowitz. Right there, ma'am.
Mayor?
Sir.
Before she speaks, I just want to let council know I have a hard stop. I have to be somewhere at 1 o'clock, so I'll probably be excusing myself around 12:15.
We will handle that. Yep, thank you. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for this opportunity to speak. One of the reasons I hope you can hear me, the City Council wants to change from the current choices of trash haulers to only, thank you. Yeah, I know, I'm short.
I relate.
Okay, I'm not gonna start over though. Well, maybe I'll start the sentence. One of the reasons the City Council wants to change from the current choices of trash haulers to only waste is to closely monitor its performance. However, our current providers, GFL, Republic, and Pollard, can be required to send the council a monthly report on its measurable performance standards, which include missed pickups, customer complaints, spill incidents, and resolution times. A quarterly review can include tonnage, recycling participation, and overall performance review. This will ensure the current providers are maintaining the best service to the residents of Peachtree City. The City Council wants to give Amwaste a 5-year contract. The termination of this contract will depend upon the percentage of poor service to the 14,000 homeowners. If this percentage isn't met, residents with unsatisfactory service will not be able to fire Amwaste and be able to choose their own trash haulers from the choices given by the City Council. This is totally unfair. We cannot allow the council to take away the residents' right to choose their own providers. Additionally, GFL provides Crestwind residents with a negotiated lower rate paid quarterly. My husband and I pay $54 quarterly, which is $18 per month, not $21.15 for trash and recycling, which including Amwaste is $63.45 per quarter, let's see, instead of $54, and yearly I pay $216 instead of $253.80. So for these reasons, let me just see if I did that right. I'm sorry, I missed one. If Peachtree City is the only payer to Amwest, then neighborhoods like Crestwind will lose their ability to negotiate lower rates for their communities. For these reasons, please don't take away our community's right to choose their own trash haulers. That's it. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for sticking with us this morning. Next speaker.
Skip Schaefer.
Just take the microphone for me, Skip.
Just a quick question for you before you start my time. The lady that spoke, wherever she is, are we saying that we don't have a choice between the 3 services as a homeowner, that the city decides which one of the 3?
Mandy, can you clarify, please?
Sure, absolutely. So, depending on the service that's selected, would be the entire service scope for all residents. So if we go with option one, the entire city would need to utilize
Okay,
option
all right,
one.
you've answered my question. So I don't get to choose what service I want. And currently, I live in Crestwind, like the lady said, I don't need to pay for trash pickup, yard waste. So I'm paying more money for something like that. Gosh, guys, y'all are taking away our choices. I don't have a choice on a garbage service. I don't have a choice on which service they provide. Over my lifetime, monopolies don't work. It doesn't help with community service, customer service, or such like that. Why can't we just mandate, let me get back to where I was. My understanding, there were 13,000 homeowners in the city. 1,300 don't have garbage service, and they're using community facilities to put their trash in, like along the cart paths. And this is driving some of this information that we're trying to get through today. Can't we just mandate that everybody in the city has trash service so we don't have the 1,300 that don't, that we're all having to pay for? Anyway, I've had experience with a monopolistic city-provided garbage service, and it was terrible. I called up to complain about it. The lady told me, if you file a complaint, if you think your garbage service is bad now, wait till you file your complaint. So, if we're allowing 1,300 people to push our decision for 13,000 people, it's like we have the tail wagging the dog. Let's just leave everything alone and let me make my own choice, who I want and what service I want, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Jackie Frazier.
Good morning. Thank you, council members, mayor, for this opportunity today. Each of us are here trying to voice our concerns on a one garbage provider and how it will impact our Peachtree City household. I understand the reasons for this proposal. They are to get a better price, to reduce the truck traffic, to stop the illegal dumping, and perhaps add the yard waste pickup. This proposal will not be a benefit to my household. My HOA negotiates garbage pickup for our entire neighborhood. Your proposed options will not significantly decrease the garbage truck pickup traffic. If we have excessive yard waste, tree companies and other landscaping providers can get the job done on an as-needed basis and at a competitive price. As far as those 1,400 households that currently do not have a garbage service and dump cans on the cart paths, perhaps the council's resources should be directed to monitoring and finding these individuals. The remaining law-abiding Peachtree City residents should be left on their own to arrange their garbage pickup services. Peachtree City Council should not be acting on our behalf. If one company is chosen, what happens to the other providers that are locked out of this? Do they have trucks now sitting idle? What about their employees? Are they now unemployed? Competition is good for all. Let's keep it that way. If you would like an idea of how the majority of Peachtree City residents feel about this proposal, you should ask for a vote of those gathered here today. You would get a pretty accurate answer. I beg you, please walk away from this proposal. Peachtree City has already invested too much valuable time and resources on a proposal that is not needed nor wanted by most of our residents. I hope you will seriously consider my remarks, and I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Frazier. Next speaker.
Rich Gans.
Hello, good morning. My name is Rich Gans. I have lived here for 2 years. When I moved here with my family, I originally inherited Republic Trash Services. Weren't too happy with the services, so we pivoted to Pollard, who we've had. Haven't had much issue with them. I don't think about them too much. They pick up the trash, I get the bill, they're fine. But in looking at this proposal, I requested the RFP, I requested the deck, I reviewed it, so I have a little bit of experience in kind of what we're talking about here. I appreciate you coming out with the deck and the additional context, but I have some comments and some questions. Number one, I think this is a good thing for the city. I think there are times where we have to take a look at the collective good that consolidating a service does. You know, we don't have choices in who does our sewage. We don't have choices in if there's road repair. I don't decide, you know, who I'm gonna, you know, the city doesn't give us options for that. It just takes care of it. It makes sense to sometimes consolidate and have one single service. Provided that the city has a good RFP process, good controls in the contract, and good exit strategies and a good partnership and has some accountability there. If you read the RFP, there's a lot of controls and accountability that we don't have as individual citizens. We're leveraging the collective buying power of all of our business, essentially, to be able to, you know, have the best opportunity to negotiate, which is right now. And some of that is reflected in the deal we're getting. As far as I can tell, right now, Pollard's average cost, based on the survey, is $73 a quarter. Amwaste is going to be $78 a quarter. That's about $5 more a quarter that we're looking at on average, right? Everybody's a little bit different. But here's what we gain. We gain more services. We have consistent recycling. We have yard debris pickup. We have predictable pricing. As far as I know right now, both Republic and Pollard don't have set pricing. They don't tell me as a resident that I'm locked in for 3 years. They won't commit to that. This gives us a 3-year lock-in on prices, and after that, year 4 and 5 increases by 3%, which I'm no mathematician, but that's like $2 and a quarter year 4, $2 and a quarter year 5. Is that correct? It's a minimal increase, and it's forecasted, so we can see what it is. Better controls and oversight. I love the reporting. I like that there's GPS. I like that there's cameras. So if I call, there's a 30-second SLA. Someone's going to pick up the phone, and we can say, hey, my trash didn't get picked up, and there's some accountability there. I don't think I have that right now with my current setup, so I appreciate that. But I do have some questions, and I'm running low on time. So question number 1 is the RFP has a penalty for missed trash pickup. So if trash is not picked up, there's a $25 fee or penalty, and then if it's not corrected within a day, it's another $50. That's about a $75 penalty. Is that accurate? That goes to the city right now, and I appreciate that there's some type of leverage or some type of a mechanism to try to incent Amwaste into not having missed pickups. But I would ask the city council to consider, would you consider applying that as a rebate to the residents' bill? There are certain cities right now, municipalities in the country that actually, if there's a missed pickup and a penalty, that is actually given back to the resident as a credit. So for example, if you miss my trash and you don't pick it up in a day after that, maybe I get $25 or $50 credited back to my account. That kind of sweetens it a little bit if that does happen. I'm the one who's inconvenienced, so I should be the one that receives the benefit from that. That'd be my first request. The fuel surcharge. So I didn't see in the RFP any specifics regarding the fuel surcharge. So if there is a fuel surcharge, what metric do you use for?
Your time has expired. Thank you for your comment.
My bad.
Thank you. Stick around.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
There are no additional speakers signed up.
No additional speakers.
Do you want to let him finish then?
Yeah, sure. I was going to open it up for our citizens here today because I feel like we have some new information, some more accurate information, certainly information that's more accurate than what I've seen on social media. So, Rich, do you want to come back up and finish your questions?
Yeah, thank you. And I'll wrap this up. But
It's okay.
that goes fast. So the fuel surcharge, we're locked into prices with the exception of the fuel surcharge. And I understand as a business you have to be able to protect yourself against that. But we're pretty close to that 550 point now, and there's uncertainty in the economy. So we don't know if that's going to increase. What I'd like to see in the contract is very specific. So what metric are you tying it to? National diesel average or Georgia diesel average? Georgia's a little bit lower than national. There should also be very specific guidelines regarding if it dips below 550, do we then see that immediate decrease, or do you maintain that higher price? There should also be, is it proportional? So if it goes up by 5 cents, are we just seeing an increase by 5 cents versus, hey, we're tacking on an extra $5 because we're seeing it. So that should be built into the agreement, I think, and I think residents would appreciate that. That's it for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to hear any other citizens wish to, sir?
Can we ask some questions here or hold off?
Yeah. Let me,
Maybe Jermaine.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, and is this on? Good. And council, I appreciate you opening it up this time. This is my first council meeting. We're new to Peachtree City in the grand scheme of things. My wife will have been here for 4 years next month. We moved from Henry County. I'm not a Georgia native, but
tell me your name again.
Oh, I'm sorry, Glenn Moore.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. I appreciate the time to do that. I am not going to focus except for just a little bit on the pricing. I'm also in Crestwind, and I'm going to approach more on the ordinance and the application of this rather than talking about service and customer services. The biggest problem I have is that we are the paying customer as residents rather than the council, so that's an important factor. And I'll jump quickly to the single service thing. My preference would be offer Amwaste the opportunity to become the fourth hauler. Councilwoman Brown mentioned you actually do in Peachtree City, I looked it up, you have to apply and be a franchise trash hauler in order to do business in Peachtree City. Amwaste is not, don't know why, not going to go there. But let me approach first the ordinance. The ordinance in principle, and I put this on social media, but social media is social media. I'm here today to speak, hopefully have the opportunity to publicly go on record. I, again, appreciate your opportunity. Ordinances in principle are good. However, what we're dealing with here is 10% of the population, which actually is low. Not to say that that's a positive, but it is a positive in Peachtree City. I would say that it lends itself to the amount of culture and the type of people within our culture of principally being rule followers and doing the right thing. But ordinances, laws, without the appropriate surveillance of the violators don't do anything. It's been stated very, very candidly and maybe as an anecdotal approach is that what happens when an ordinance or a law is placed on a book, what happens is those who still do not want to comply, irrespective of the amount, great or large, of the fine or the penalty, they put their emphasis on getting away or not complying. Putting an ordinance, which I do support in principle, does not support anything without surveillance. We've got to fix that. As an example, and you've got different negotiated rights, we have a choice of 3 providers in Crestwind. I pay $58 a quarter for trash pickup and recycle there. If I am forced into selecting or having it selected for me, my HOA covenants prohibit me from putting yard waste out by the curb. And by the way, we already pay for that as part of our HOA fee. We pay that, and it's pretty expensive. It's the largest contract, and that's not going to change in Crestwind. It's over $1 million for everything, community, individual, yard waste, landscaping, grass cutting, etc. there. Additionally, we're also prohibited from putting anything on the curbside other than our trash or recycle bins, and we have specific rules to tell you how controlled it is and how stringent it is. We must can't put it out there before 6 o'clock the day before trash pickup. So I thank you for your time. Thank you for considering citizens' comments.
Thank you. When the time is right, Mandy, I'll be interested to talk to you publicly about Cresswind. Cresswind pays with HOA fees, and I think they have a landscaping fee that takes up the yard waste, and so we can talk about that later. I have another commenter. Morning, Eric.
Hello, Kim. Kim and I have known each other since we were on council in 2010.
Eric, raise
Together.
Raise the mic so we
Bring
can
it-
hear you.
bring the
You're
mic
taller
up.
than the last speaker.
All right. How about now? Testing.
He'll help you. It's getting better. Thank you.
I can't get much closer.
That's good.
Yeah, 6 years we sat up here side by side, right?
Yes, we did, from 2010 to 2015. I'm going to recommend that you do not move forward with this initiative. We've been a lot of points for and against, and what I'm hearing is you're going to wind up with a nightmare of all these HOAs and different organizations having exceptions and wanting to not participate. When I first got on the council, I went into the HOA area and asked staff to provide with me how many neighborhoods there are. At the time, this is 15 years ago, there were 183 neighborhoods identified, of which nearly 50 had HOAs with people identified as contacts. And my particular neighborhood does not have an HOA, and so I took the initiative on my own to contact all the homes in my neighborhood and ask them if they're interested in going in with a proposal to get a good rate. So everybody in the neighborhood agreed, and I took the initiative and I negotiated with, at the time, 3 different contractors, and I wound up with a great rate, about 20% less than what was normally being offered. I actually have on my email here, I brought it with me. In 2019, I was paying under $36 a quarter, where the average at the time was probably in the mid-50s. And our entire neighborhood was like that, because I took the initiative to get everybody on board, and we all agreed at a certain time we would transition, and it worked. That fell apart over the last few years because we've had people move in and out, and we haven't been able to keep up with the neighbors in the area. If you're going to move forward with this, you need to delay until you find out exactly how many exemptions you're looking at. You're going to make a lot of people mad who are paying less right now than what's being offered. I don't want to have the government intruding into my life like this. It's not necessary. I know that one of the comments is, oh, you're going to save money by not having to repave the roads as often because there's not as many trucks on the road. Well, and the bottom line, well, if you did save $1 million a year, will you reduce the millage rate by a quarter or a half mil to do that? Or will you just wind up spending that extra money that you, quote, might save? So these are things that all need to be considered. I have other statistics here, but I'm not going to go through them all. It's not pertinent right now. So you've heard all the arguments. I recommend that you don't take and make 80% of this population here in Peachtree City that upset. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to take the microphone? It's okay. Oh, anybody else, and then we'll get you, Skip. I promise. All right, Skip, back at you.
Round 2.
I'm sorry, I just have one question. We're gonna tie up with these people for 5 years.
It's 3 years.
We're gonna tie up for 5 years. What happens if they don't live up to the agreements under that 5-year contract? Because I don't want to get stuck with a bunch of people that don't do their jobs. Are y'all going to be monitoring that? Or specifically what happens? And if they don't live up to it, can we cancel the contract midterm?
Okay, good question.
Yep.
And if we can cancel it midterm, do you think these folks are going to hire all these people, buy all these trucks and do all this stuff and not take us to court? You're wrong. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. Sorry, guys.
Thank you. Sir in the back.
Good morning. John Cheatham, live in a non-Crestwind community and a non-HOA community. And just to offer one more perspective, perhaps the basic service, the 21 and 15, ends up being less than my Republic monthly bill right now. It's providing actually additional services that I get. I get one extra recycle pickup for less price. And I have the option of going down to, I think, an additional service for bulk or yard waste, and I pay separately. Is that right? I pay individually, which I would.
Oh, it's included.
Let me hear you. Let me hear you.
So if that's correct, why would I not want to go with a lower base service than what I have today? And I don't need the yard waste, I don't need the bulk pickup except for 3 times a year or 4 times a year, and I buy that on my own or use the yard services company I already have or whatever. So it seems to me a viable option in the middle of the road here is go with a lower cost service just for what I'm doing now, which is the base services, and then any additional services I need, I buy individually.
Thank you. Sir, over here, yes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Carl Snell. I do live in an HOA community, but it's not Crestwind, even though it looks like I should be there. Very nice presentation, by the way. You know what? I would buy from you just because you did a good job. But here's my question. Where does it end? If we're going to do this with garbage, based on, I'm learning now, 10% of the population either throws it in their work garbage or takes it with them, whatever they do with it. Where does it end? I mean, what's next? Internet? Do we have to bundle the internet? We all only use the same internet. We only get 1 gig. I don't know. What comes after this? That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please, in the back. Start with your name.
Hi, I'm Jill. I live
Step
in a
up.
non-Crestwind
Step up closer.
place on a private road. These trucks that go up and down our road cause road damage. They cause environmental damage. We're not looking at all of that. We need to be looking at all of that. The 10% of the people isn't really the only problem. And honestly, $25 a month is a huge decrease for us. Includes services I would love to have. I'm all on board. If we can talk to you on the side and get that right, go for it.
Thank you, Jill. Next, please.
Well, I'm Sharon Hudgens, and I am from Crestwind, and I'm glad to be living there. But my question is, if there's, did you say 1,300 people are not using garbage services at all?
I think we figured it's closer to 1,400
Well,
households.
How are you going to monitor the number of people who actually sign up for this service? Are they billing us? Is the city billing us? How is this going to transpire? And how is it going to really solve the problem of these people not paying? And it is a bigger increase for me living in Crestwind. I'm paying $58.44 quarterly. And I do pay an HOA fee. And I am also concerned about the monopoly of it all. So those are my questions.
Yeah. Those are good questions. Thank you. As far as how would we solve the, you want to take that on? You're leaning forward. As far as how we solve the question of people who don't participate, we would get reports from the company.
Not
No.
not with who they. We
Oh, here's how we know. What a good question. Right now, every one of us, and I'm one of you. I have a contract too at my house with Republic. We're required, all of us, to pay $1 per month to our hauler that goes to keep Peachtree City beautiful. And I'm pointing to those guys over there because they do incredible work for $1 a month. That's what we're paying them. And so we know how many households we have in Peachtree City, and we know how much money, how many dollars we get to keep Peachtree City beautiful, and we have a gap. And so we are able to identify how many households are not paying. Now, there could be a myriad of reasons why people are not participating or not paying, so.
Currently, under the ordinance, it's not required. Like in the ordinance as written, you're not required to have trash service.
Ma'am, if you can please step to the microphone.
I'm under the impression that the point of hiring this company to be the monopoly company is to make these people participate in this. So why can't you make these people participate now by signing up for the service of their choice?
Understood. Thank you for that question. So what we looked at as a whole, as a city, is, as I mentioned at the very beginning, is there a way that we could maintain costs or reduce costs while adding a service? And it's not for everyone if you live in Cresswind. It doesn't work the same for everyone if you live in Cresswind. Is there a way to add a service while maintaining costs? And it turns out that there is. There really is. And we see these numbers up here for the most of us. But what's the catch? The catch is everyone has to be in the pool. This is for the whole city. This is everyone would be mandated to have a service. What that formula would look like in Cresswind might be interesting conversation, and I think we're open to that, because you said 58.44 a quarter for trash and recycling, but you also have an HOA fee that includes your yard debris removal. So there's a combo in there somewhere that we need to be able to quantify so that we can address it. So, yeah, exactly. So that's okay. And we're not voting today. And by the way, I will put a hard stop on. If we're not done at 1, we're going to put a hard stop at 1 o'clock. But
Well, if I could add on, Mayor. So council did bring this up at the January retreat. That's how this was all formulated, was council brought it up as a topic for staff to look into and to run an RFP to see what the numbers would be. But I don't believe at the time in January, I think it was something that was the 1,400 people we're talking about. I think it was kind of one of those things where that was not the main thing that council was talking about to request this RFP. I think, like the mayor said, it was about, and y'all can correct me or state what you want to state, because I'm not council. But I think it was for, can we have more efficient service in the city for a less price, a more stable reporting, more responsibility, more teeth for us as a city to be able to enforce with the trash companies, because we do get calls to us from the 3 companies, from citizens that want us to do something, and we don't have teeth in the contracts that we have with these companies. So I think it was like a conglomeration of different things. I don't think it was just the 1,400 people. I think that was just something that as staff, I think we pointed out, like, if you do go this route, this is another advantage of doing something like this. But I don't think that was the original conception by council.
not necessarily.
I have questions too.
We have Al Yogel, who heads up Keep Peachtree City Beautiful. So I'd love to hear from Al. I want to say that what did we decide, Al? 2004, we both took Peachtree City 101. And from there, I ran for city council. He started Keep Peachtree City Beautiful. He's been running it for 20 years.
18 years, seems like 20. Real quickly, and you're all being very kind, I think the number is much higher now, and the number of homes that do not have trash service. I think the answer is very simple, that we all pay stormwater. The owners of the houses pay stormwater. You get a bill, okay? We know how many people that is. I know how many people have trash service. It's far higher than 1,400, 1,600. I think it's over 2,000 now. Okay, and people come and people go. But somebody gets stormwater fees paid. You know who they are. You know who owns it. Forget the guy that rents it and then he leaves in the bulk at night and he leaves his trash on the curb, leaves the house a mess. Forget them. Go to the owner. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Microphone, sure.
but I came because I am one of the people who's never, lived here since '84. I didn't know we were bad guys.
What's your name?
My name is Mary Weaver.
Hi, Mary.
We never dump garbage. We don't accumulate much garbage. We recycle, I compost. I can chip my small branches into my compost. We have a fire pit, and we could used to burn. Of course, with the burn ban, we can't do that anymore. I worked in Fayetteville for years. I would accumulate 133-gallon black bag about once a month. I took it to Fayetteville. I take all my recycling. My daughter now lives next door, and she will take my 133-gallon a month and her can. So I just wanted to speak up for we're not evil people. We have not needed trash service. So I go to I take my glass and I take my recycling, and there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Madam Mayor?
Sir.
And I did want to point out, at the last meeting, I think I did say, when we were talking about the numbers of people who don't do it, I did have the caveat with council of saying, I don't want to assume that every 2,000 people or 1,400 people are illegally dumping trash. Because our ordinance doesn't require it, there are definitely people who don't have trash service, who take care of it, take it to the transfer station or whatever they need to do, that do it the correct way. So to some of the other questions, I do think, council could decide to change the ordinance where they do require everyone to have a trash service and not do a single hauler. That's absolutely an option that council has. But then for people like you, that would mandate that for you, it's a complex, because I know that 1,400 people are not dumping on the pass. It's less than that. So I know there are good people out there that don't have trash service that still do the right thing.
All right. Any other comments? Who have not? Yeah.
My name is Barry Bernstein. I live in an aging community, and just out of curiosity, if you had recycling and trash, would they be picked up on the same day? Yeah. Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I normally don't lead with my resume when I'm discussing things, but I think it's kind of important here because I've got a strong policy background. I talked to Mr. Pelichek a little earlier. So I'm a retired federal employee. I retired as the associate director at the CDC for programs. I'm not a doctor, don't play one on TV, not in the medical field, I'm in the support side. But there's a couple things that I've heard since here that give me pause, and I haven't heard it said, so I want it to go on record. So although there's not an ordinance that talks about and addresses the trash pickup and everybody requiring it, I would suggest that Peachtree City already does have some teeth that they can use. The three garbage refuse haulers now have to apply to be approved. Case in point, Amwaste is not one of those. Again, I don't know why, doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. But if there's sufficient complaints, and there's typical thresholds with customer service that indicate that, all right, hey, we need to look at the granting of the authority, i.e. given by the franchise, to continue to do service to Peachtree City residents and households because they're not doing the job. If that's withdrawn, then they no longer have the authority. Problem is solved without an ordinance. The other item is, the customer service, and we've already talked about, and we've heard it multiple times. For some, this would be a benefit. Some need it, some need the service, some would like the cost threshold. As you've heard from Crestwind, and there are several others that unfortunately, probably because of time of day, because we do have a working community, we're not hearing from them, okay? But it's not advantageous for price only. The other thing notwithstanding, and I've done a lot of public speaking in various thresholds and environments, very gifted, very polished, it's great, okay? But once again, this monopolistic single service of anything, there's plenty of anecdotal public service, volunteer, and private companies where a single service does not work on a long-term basis. We still need to take a look at the issue of the ordinance and who's not complying. okay? And if it's 1,400, if it's 1,500, again, that's well over 90% or at least 80% that we're doing a really good job with that. So we need to really take a look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody next? I'm going to come, ma'am.
I have an answer for one of his questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Going back to holding them accountable with their contracts, we did have this issue in 2022. 2022, we had one of the providers that was having major problems. We did look at their contract. I think we did almost let go of them. The problem was the other two providers didn't, we talked with the other two providers. They did not have the capacity at the time to pick up the people who would have been left off the other contractor. So we've tried to display teeth before, but we ended up not doing it because it would have actually been more of a disaster to get rid of their contract, because the other two contractors that were eligible at the time, of the three we have, same ones, did not have the capacity to pick up the other residents at that time. So.
All right, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have never done this before, so I want to say that she did a wonderful job presenting. It was an amazing presentation, but I wasn't aware that when we choose, if we choose, we have to choose scenario 1, 2, or 3 for everybody. So if we just want the basic service, it's too bad. I don't have to have full service. I'm also from Crestwind, but that's one of the bigger things. Of course, I had talked to Clint a minute ago about having a monopoly, but how can you? Ours, if we want a complete program, we'd have to get the $29 program, and we don't all need that. And that's a huge expense. That's like compared to what we're doing now. I do have a question though. That's just a comment. This is a question. How long has Noonan and Tyrone and Fairburn and all those places have you as a full-time, and what kind of service do they get?
Ma'am, can we get your name, please?
Oh, Susan Rahala.
Thank you.
Sure. So City of Noonan, we've been their service provider since 2023. We
3
provide
years.
them we provide them curbside trash and recycling. The city actually provides the yard waste in the bulk. City of Fairburn, 2024, we provide them all services. Trash, recycling, yard waste, and bulk. Tyrone, we've had since 2020. We provide them trash, recycling, bulk. What was your other city you asked about?
Well, that's enough. I was just curious as to what kind of longevity you had and what kind of services. So they're paying 28 something per quarter for their, or per month, for their services. Correct?
Those other communities?
Tyrone,
The rates vary.
Noonan.
The rates vary per community. It's a negotiated contract.
Thank you. That's all I was wondering.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Crestwind is interesting. We'll be taking a look at that. Also, we've been provided letters of recommendation from the city manager at Noonan and some other cities and counties. The list is very, very long. At this time, I'm going to go back to council. I know, Mr. Holland, do you have a couple of questions?
I've got quite a few questions. Could you come up again, Mandy?
Once again, we're going to do a hard stop at 1 o'clock. So
I think I can get it done in 20 minutes.
Well, I think that Suzanne has some.
I have 3 pages I'm gonna read, so go ahead.
First question is, your services that you've talked about is only residential, not commercial or nor industrial. Those are separate type contracts for our city.
Correct. This
Okay.
contract would be residential service
Good.
only.
That's question one. Question two, there's going to be people that don't live in our city all year round. They've got a summer home in Wisconsin, so they go up there for 6 months, and they're not going to be here for 6 months. They close their house down. Is there some provision in there, because I've had this asked of me by some citizens, for vacation shutdown where they don't get billed for the 6 months that they're out of the city. How's that gonna work?
I would say that's more of a city ordinance question versus a service provider. So if the
Okay.
city ordinance requires it as a utility, to my understanding, any household that has a utility or needs to have a utility would be mandated to have garbage service.
So this would have to be an exception we would put into our ordinance at this point.
If
Okay.
that's what the city
I think
chose.
that's why, I think that was the right answer. Question 3. We have some people in this city who are disabled. And they need to have the service. They can't even bring their trash containers to the curbside. Is that a service that's provided at the prices that you had up here, or is it something that they have to pay extra for?
No, if it's medically qualified, then it would be no additional cost.
Okay, great. Well, those are the only questions. This is the next, it's just a discussion that I want to have with staff and with the council here. Right now, if I understand this correctly, we will have, if we choose one of them up there, we will have probably 10 trucks per week, per month, coming up and down our streets. In the current situation, we have 6 per week of 24 per month. So it's 10 per month versus 24 per month. No one seems to be taking a real hard look at what kind of these 6,000-pound trucks have on our city streets, our residential streets specifically. I think we've missed the point. That we've talked about, there's 1,400 people dumping into the local trash bins. That to me is a minor situation when you're talking about millions of dollars for fixing roads. And I did get something that just came into my email this morning, sent from Jonathan, which I think is very germane to what we're talking about. And that is, if we have that many trucks up there, and I don't have all the specifics, Jonathan, you may have to pipe in here, that we're looking at probably a 2-year or more hiatus of having to redo a road on a cycle. And I think that's what the latest data showed based on the number of trucks going up and down our streets. So when we're talking about, say, a 7-year versus a 9 or 10-year cycle for doing paving and recycling or fixing our city streets, I would think that's a far bigger cost than the people dumping it into a bin on a cart path. So I think we really need to take a hard look at the cost of the street repaving and the not being able to do it and how much that will save us as a city. So I'm trying to look at more of an altruistic way of looking at this as opposed to, we got to go after the people who aren't putting it on the cart paths. I think there's more to it than this.
So I'll speak on that real quick. Councilman Polachek actually posed the question, and I provided the data. Now, I want to be very careful with this because it is a fact that more truck traffic or vehicle traffic, especially the heavier vehicles, will damage a road quicker. But I will say in my history, that's never been the argument for this type of situation, right? We can argue that point, but that wasn't. I go back to the mayor's point of the initial reason we started this whole RFP process and the way we went down that. And that being said, too, I've given multiple presentations. Our roads are some of the highest rated roads in the state of Georgia. We are funding them. We are funding them better than most municipalities. So I can't come in and go, well, here's an exact amount that it may potentially save us based on, and what I did provide is theoretical. It is engineering calculations of how you would do those comparisons. But, I mean, we fund it through SPLOST. We are funding it enough to not only maintain but be better than a lot of the municipalities. So I think it is a concern, or it could be an argument, but we're not going to not fix the roads, I guess is what I'm saying.
It's just a matter of money I was talking about, not necessarily, I knew we would fix the roads.
Right, so,
Anything else? Miss Brown's been waiting all this time.
All right. She's
Sort
got
of
15
patiently.
minutes. Come on, you got 15
And
minutes.
if I had known the entire city was going to leave, I would have said my comments earlier so
same with
that they
me.
could have known what I said. And just so you all know, I mean, I'm reading it off of my pre-printed sheets. This is not based on what anybody said here today or any of the new information. And I'm going to read it exactly as I wrote it. Apparently, the primary concerns with our trash are not what I originally thought. The number of trucks on neighborhood streets degrading the pavement is not the big issue I thought it was. The amount of trash dumped on the cart path is a concern and increases the amount of work the Keep PTC Beautiful needs to do, but we don't have specific enough numbers to assess the severity of it. I've asked for the number of cans of household trash we're picking up each month, whether there are specific cans that are used repeatedly, and suggested the use of better signage about illegal dumping and setting up some trail cams. It seems the illegal dumping may be less of an issue and may not need so much staff involvement or the use of trail cams and more signs. So if the two problems I thought existed don't really exist, or at least not as at high of enough level to warrant taking action, then why are we trying to fix something that essentially is not broke? The weekend after our last council meeting, I spent time trying to figure out why we should pursue something that about 80% of our citizens are against. If the number of people who don't have a trash contract may be a reason why people are dumping residential trash on the cart path, then the trash from 1,400 homes would be the volume being picked up on the cart path, or that volume would be picked up in the cart path. That does not appear to be the level of the dumping, although I have not been told the exact number again. I looked at the issue of, if I don't have a trash contract, what could I be doing with my trash? And I came up with quite a list. Number one, obviously, I might be one of the people illegally dumping my trash on the path, or elsewhere in Peachtree City or Fayette County. We haven't heard complaints from commercial or industrial businesses that are finding a lot of residential illegal dumping in their dumpsters, but I'm sure it's probably happening. But is illegal dumping my only option? No. So what else could I be doing with my trash? Well, I might be a business owner that has a commercial trash contract, and I could just be placing my residential trash in my commercial dumpster. Am I violating my commercial contract with my trash holder? Probably not, unless I exceed the volume of trash I contracted for them to remove, or I'm not paying my bill. If I need my dumpster picked up more often, I'm paying for that. Or I could very well be taking my household trash to the county dump and paying them only for the items I dumped there legally. Or I could be a part-year resident, perhaps I travel extensively or have a second home. If I'm not here a majority of my time, I might choose to not have a trash contract, but that does not mean I am illegally dumping either. If a house is vacant, whether leading up to a sale or just after it's sold, does it need a trash contract? No, but that address is going to be on the list of homes without a contract. If my house is uninhabitable because of a fire, major remodeling, or renovations, or the loss of a mandatory utility that makes the home unlivable, should I be mandated to have a trash contract? No. I may have a family member here in Peachtree City, Fayette County, or elsewhere, and I place my trash, as we just heard, place my trash into their trash containers instead of having my own contract. Is this legal? Well, under contract law, it seems reasonable that if a resident sets up an account to have a 96-gallon trash container and 74-gallon recycling container emptied by one of the trash haulers, as long as I don't overfill that container and I pay my bill, then I've not violated the contract with the hauler. So if my daughter and I, who also does live here in Peachtree City, share a trash contract, one of us will not have an address that shows up as having trash service, but it does not prove that I'm illegally dumping trash anyplace. If I am a low-income resident, whether a senior citizen or not, I might ask a friend or neighbor to let me place my minimal amount of trash into their containers. As long as everyone agrees and the volume of trash complies with the contract, then why couldn't a helpful friend or neighbor do this for me? My address is going to appear on the list of homes without contracts, but I'm not illegally dumping anything. And specifically in the case of low-income seniors, we went to great lengths to expand the parameters of the senior citizen property tax exemption to give relief of about $179 to struggling seniors who apply. Why would we think they can afford a $300 annual trash contract? Hundreds of seniors who we believe qualify for the expanded tax exemption did not apply. How many of these low-income seniors don't have a trash contract? Possibly quite a few, because they would need to prioritize other expenses over a trash contract. One issue that came up in the last few weeks is how many of the 1,400 homes that don't have a trash contract live in a neighborhood where the HOA collects. We've heard about that an awful lot today. HOA fees from residents and does a neighborhood trash contract for the whole neighborhood. 2 such neighborhoods wrote to council saying this is how they handle their trash service. Are there more? I'm betting there are, since we have 23 neighborhoods that pay to pave their own streets. Do we have the number of houses in neighborhoods where the HOA has the contract? No. Because those addresses all need to be removed from the list of 1,400 homes. Now, I've understood that that's not an incorrect statement. So let me just say I'm reading what I wrote yesterday. I've outlined many reasons why citizens may not have a trash contract, and I'm sure there are other reasons. So how much illegal dumping is actually happening? What is the total impact and the cost of it? I don't think all 1,400 homes without a trash contract are dumping on the path. How many actual bags of household trash are being collected each week and over a month? We need more answers. Now let's look at what will happen if we go with a single hauler contract, especially if we choose a hauler that is not one of our current haulers. Making a major switch to a single hauler may be enticing in many ways, but will likely be quite devastating to our current 3 haulers. Republic GFL committed to contract bids, Pollard did not. Submitted contract bids, Pollard did not. But Amway submitted the lowest bid that is essentially being presented as the best option if we choose to go with a single hauler. A contract to a new vendor would be giving a huge boost to them if the contract does not go to one of our 3 current haulers. We could be inflicting a death blow to Republic, Pollard, or GFL, possibly all 3. Let's use some general round numbers to see how devastating it might be. One statistic I heard was that of our 3 haulers, the 3 vendors had approximately 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000 customers respectively. That adds up to about 12,000 households with contracts. Losing access to a market with over 13,500 customers might or might not be severe enough to put one or more of them out of business. It would undoubtedly result in one or more of them terminating drivers as well as office staff. The sudden loss of revenue might make them unable to pay loans on trucks and equipment they purchased to provide service to the customers that they have here. On top of all the other issues brought forward by our citizens via email, not necessarily today, no one touched on this, which is the loss of jobs to the contractors. But it's a big thing for our 3 haulers who have served our citizens for decades. You know how I know the single hauler issue is important to them? Because Republic, GFL, and Pollard all had representatives at our last council meeting. They showed up because it's a big deal to their businesses. So how big is the loss of their customers? Losing 3,000 customers a year is the loss of about 960,000 annually. Losing 4,000 customers is about 1.2 million. Losing 5,000 customers is about 1.86 million annually. I have no stomach for causing that level of financial damage to the 3 companies that have served our city for decades. And that's where I'm going to leave it.
All right, I'm going to wrap up with this. First of all, to Mandy and Brandon and Siren, thank you so very much. This has been very valuable. Obviously, you are at the top of your professional game, and I don't think anybody's questioning the capabilities of Amways. That's really been made clear, and I appreciate so much that you're all here to sit through all this. As a wrap-up, I will just point out that City Council's responsibility is not the best interest of GFL or Pollard or Republic. Our best interest, we are here to protect the best interests of our citizens. And there are times when we make very difficult decisions so that we're looking out for the best interests of our city as a whole. I was on this council when we did leash laws. You talk about personal and emotional. We didn't have any leash laws on the books, and people paraded up to the microphone to say, how dare you, my dog is trained, I've spent money on this, he's a good dog. And we passed leash laws in spite of all of their objections, because it made our city safer and more comfortable. So sometimes that means our job is evaluating options that may not be every resident's first choice, but could provide significant community-wide benefits. And if you think I'm leaning toward this option, it's because I'm leaning toward this option. I see it as an opportunity to lower costs, reduce truck traffic on our streets. It'll improve accountability for litter and spills. It'll mean better looking neighborhoods with our cans only out one day a week in any given neighborhood. Clearly improved customer service, expanded services such as yard debris collection, improved efficiency for our staff, and a more equitable system in which every household participates in a waste disposal program. And yes, it becomes a utility, just like I had choice of one in my home when I moved here for electricity, gas, maybe I had a second for gas, electricity, gas, water, sewer, stormwater. Those are utilities that I pay because that's what it takes to keep a community humming. So a single hauler is the norm, and now we can all see why. If it's a utility, everyone is in the pool, and that is how a company like Amwaste is able to keep the cost down, and we have the opportunity to not only control costs, but also improve services. So we're done for today. Council, do you want to vote on this in our August 20th meeting, or do you want to put a decision forward to September? Council?
I'll go with the September 1st meeting. Give us a little bit more time. That's a month from now. That's not that far from a city standpoint to get everybody's input. I'm sure today's meeting is going to raise a lot more questions from the citizens, and we'll get a lot more emails.
I think that's Thursday, September 3rd, which is a morning meeting. Council, everybody want to do that?
No, I'd rather terminate the entire discussion today and leave everything the way it is.
I definitely think we at least need to give opportunities for our citizens to attend an evening meeting that we're not able to come here. And even though we may each think we know where we will eventually land, it's, I think, important to let everybody come and say what they would like to say. So I think it's important to be heard. So I would say at least wait till next meeting, or if we want to go till September, I'm fine with that.
Next meeting.
Next meeting.
For the same reasons.
So we'll put this on as a decision item in the August 20th meeting.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, if I can't have today, then I'll
Looks like
take next
the council
meeting.
said yes.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
that's a
Sounds good.
plan forward.
Does council expect any kind of presentation, or just?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think so. We'll have it on as a consider, which means make a decision on a trash hauler, on
Okay.
a single stream.
Okay.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn? I assume we have no executive session.
I have one council staff topic that
Yes,
I
I
really need y'all
forgot
to.
I forgot that.
I want to pass the mic to Shayla. She's got a question for you all about the push cart ordinance that she's working on with the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission had a few questions that she wants to ask you all before they finalize their recommendation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this. When speaking with the Planning Commission, I shared with them that there's interest for the push cart to be considered in commercial and industrial, just as there is in food trucks, because food trucks are permitted in those two areas. The push cart falls under the food truck ordinance, and so we were looking to basically just remove the word prohibited and allow for push carts to move forward. However, LUC, LUI, and LUR have the allowance for accessory uses in those areas, which also opens it up for residential areas to have these items included for food trucks and push carts, because there are some subdivisions that are zoned for LUR or LUC. So with that, it opened up the question as to whether residential would be where you're seeing this allowance. I did not have a clear answer there, so I told them I would bring that back to you to have that conversation. I will add that currently food trucks are considered an accessory use within your LUC and LUR currently.
Meaning?
Meaning you can have a food truck today in your residential LUC or LUR areas because it's identified as an accessory use.
What brought this up is Le Petit Oven. It's a non-motorized. They don't cook on their cart. They just have a non-motorized cart that they want to be in Willow Bend District, and Willow Bend wants them there, but push carts aren't allowed. So my short answer would be commercial and industrial.
I did. Speaking of Crestwind again, one of the commissioners lives in Crestwind, and didn't he mention that they do have food trucks come to
Yes,
Crestwind?
he did.
Ah.
We have them in our neighborhood of Kedron Hills too, so they come in all the time.
And there is a permitting requirement for that.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that they're following that.
I can honestly say I don't know.
Oh, by the way.
But they're there.
Okay.
I mean, what do you have a suggestion? Do you have a recommendation, or did the planning commissioners have a recommendation? You can see the goal here. The goal here is, look, come on, people, they want to buy bread in the Willow Bend district.
So, and I strongly encourage you to see that video. It was June 13th for the Planning Commission. But there's half and half. Half are saying they would like to see it allowed in residential, and some are saying no. My exact words was that staff was not recommending either way. We was just only asking for guidance, and they've asked that I come back to you for guidance. So I'll refrain from giving recommendation at this time.
This is such short notice, my short answer would be push cart in neighborhoods opens a can of worms that might have some unintended consequences. My intent with bringing this up in the first place was commercial.
I can tell you, when I grew up, we used to have an ice cream truck come around every day during the summertime, and all us kids loved that. And that's basically like a food truck back in those days to sell ice cream to the kids. And I think all of the parents loved it because it got the kids out there and talking to people, and it was a good community type community involvement. And I see it the same way. We don't have ice cream trucks anymore coming around the neighborhoods.
Okay, but non-motorized
Yep, I
in
know.
commercial and
I understand
industrial.
what you're going after, May. I was just trying to bring in another topic that I don't have a problem with the non-motorized or motorized ones, in my opinion.
All right, the issue is non-motorized, council.
Non-motorized, I think, should be commercial or industrial.
I would agree.
I'd go back to the original intent of why this is brought up.
Does that answer your question?
I think you got a unanimous.
There's a consensus that it should be commercial or industrial, but not residential.
Yes, I understand. I guess my challenge I have is that food trucks are allowing for the push carts. So I can remove push carts from food trucks, and then that way we won't have the same regulations for them.
Thank you.
That will fix what you're trying to
That
do.
will make the distinction.
Okay, understood.
That'll work, thank you.
So based on one's motorized and one is not.
Basically, yep.
Essentially.
There are other definitions, because whether you make the food on your,
Okay.
you know.
Okay, so then yes.
I think that'll work.
And I'm just clear that push carts only in commercial and industrial only.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
all.
Justin, anything else?
That's it.
Council staff topics?
And Councilman Holland, there is Allsy's food truck. Plug for Allsy's, they're great. So you get an app and you can request for an ice cream truck. I'm sorry, ice cream.
Ice cream, okay.
And they come to your house.
It's
check it out.
something from my childhood.
Yeah.
Mayor, Purple Heart Day.
Oh, Purple Heart Day is tomorrow, 9:30 event at Kedron, right? Kedron Fieldhouse.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Harold, I was gonna, do you wanna say a quick statement about the deer management thing or not?
No, not today, Suzanne.
Well, no, it's just, he's looking into things and what his update is.
Yes, ma'am. So we have already started with the application process for the urban archery hunting season. And tomorrow morning, I will be meeting with the DNR to go over some logistics that we've got going on, to also look at the possibility of expanding our hunting zones.
Okay, there we go.
Anybody else? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.